From Harry Hurley Way in the world's playground to the broadcast pioneers of Philadelphia Hall of Fame, you're about to find out why Harry Hurley has been named to the Talkers Magazine list of the 100 most important talk show hosts in the nation. Live from the studios of Town Square Media in Northfield, it's Hurley in the Morning on WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app.
6 minutes past the hour. Thanks for waking up early in the morning. Here we go. Oh my gosh. You know how we always say how much changes in just 19 hours and 54 minutes that we depart each weekday. And then, of course, it's 2 days over the weekend, so forget about it. I was cataloging everything that's just on my plate. And, I mean, it is... you need Jack LaLanne. You need a diet. You need the Marty Small road diet, skinny diet. I mean, there's so much. The cup does indeed runneth over. So President Trump goaded Joe Biden to debate. And this much I know. There's no doubt that what I'm about to say is exactly what happened. Joe Biden didn't want to debate. Come on. Did you watch him yesterday? He was incoherently babbling. I don't know what infusions, what the hell they're going to do in the run-up to, of course, Joe Biden picked Margie's birthday for this debate. Blah. That's on the debate, not on Margie's birthday. June 27th. A very special day. Margie's birthday, and President Trump is going to demolish Joe Biden. Now, keep in mind, the whole thing is rigged. Joe Biden controlled all the rules. He picked where the debates will be held. He doesn't want to do it in front of people because he gets protested everywhere he goes. And he can't draw flies on you-know-what. So... don't you love these rules? No crowd, no audience. And he controlled every single bit of it. And all Trump said was yes. I'll be there. Oh, and by the way, why don't you come and do this third debate? I mean, come on, CNN. Now, CNN hasn't announced yet whether they're going to make it available to the other networks to air. CNN's ratings are terrible. ABC, which is the second debate, I mean, could you pick more biased Trump-hating people? I guess you could, MSNBC. But these two networks, if you want to even call them that, just complete, utter Trump haters. But I love it, though. Oh, you pick where it is, you pick when it is, you pick how it's done, you pick who can be there, you pick the moderators, you pick everything. And Trump doesn't care. Now, here's what I know. Joe Biden is not behaving as a successful incumbent. Because he's not. No successful incumbent other than Denny Levinson in the history of the world ever challenges his opponent to a debate. Incumbents that are successful avoid debates. Only debate when and if they have to. And I also think Biden wants to get all of this done early because they're going to try to spend a fortune to try to disqualify President Trump. And it won't work. It won't matter. He's still Joe Biden. But you watch. It'll be noticeable. You will see how the moderators help Biden and go against Trump. You'll see. And they'll act like they stayed within the rules and all of this, but If you don't think this is all coordinated, where it will be, when it will be, who it will be with, who can be there, all of it, all rigged. It's how they have to do it. They have a very bad candidate, a very bad candidate. But if you wanted debates, you've got debates. Part of the early thing that I do like, people will be voting in September. I don't think September 10th on the eve of September 11th was a good pick. I think that could have been done a little differently, but the timing of it relative to when, because we now have voting seasons, not even a day of voting, not a voting season. We have multiple seasons. Gosh, there's so much that's going on. Biden is doing the debates. It's a gambit because he knows he's losing. Remember, no incumbent would behave this way unless they knew they were losing. Joe Biden is not behaving as a successful incumbent because he is not. He is a failed incumbent with some of the absolute worst numbers. In fact, they are the worst numbers in history. Here's some, just in a nutshell, the Biden demands for the debate. And Trump said yes. No audience, no RFK Jr. or any other third-party candidates, limited news outlets, and candidate mics must mute after time expires. Look, I didn't agree with what Trump did in the first debate. He never let Joe Biden speak. He dominated it. He suffocated Biden, but you want to have Biden speaking. So that actually is not a bad thing. Trump can do so much in these debates. Hey, do you remember everybody 4 years ago when this man called me a liar when I said that his son profited and the Biden family profited, and Joe Biden said that there's no evidence, and in fact, of all these 50-some experts came out, all of them corruptly participated in a web of lies. Trump can now bring all of that back like it happened 5 minutes ago. I will be so disappointed if these debates come and go and Trump doesn't remind all of America how Biden lied. As I was saying last time, and all Biden said was he's a liar, it's not true, there's no proof. Now there's nothing but proof. By September 10th, Joe Biden's son should be convicted. Now, of course, the whole goal was for Trump to be convicted of something. Absent jury nullification, and I'll tell you what, I would call him, but they're not really going to put a case on, so I don't think he is going to be called. But this Robert Costello, he absolutely eviscerated Michael Cohen before the United States Congress yesterday under oath, where he said that Michael Cohen told him repeatedly that he had no information of wrongdoing at all regarding President Trump. And Costello was representing Cohen. And let me point something out, because I was wondering, what is it with all these attorneys? And is there no attorney-client privilege anymore? I don't like Michael Cohen, but I wanted to find out, why was Costello allowed to do these things? And Cohen waived the attorney-client privilege. So Costello, who was under oath, and the only way you can get in trouble is if you lie, and you don't want to do that, lying before Congress, unless you're a Democrat, is not a good thing. But if he was a witness in the trial, he just goes to the jury and says, I was his attorney. I asked him for anything because he told Michael Cohen that if you have anything on President Trump and wrongdoing, I can have you out of this thing with no jeopardy in a week. And Michael Cohen told his attorney, there is no wrongdoing. I have no wrongdoing to give to you. Now, that was to save his own neck. I am just hard-pressed. I would want that. I would want to call him, and he's unflappable. So the cross-examination, so what? I would put Costello on the stand. If this was the verdict with Paul Newman and James Mason, right? Is that his name, James Mason, or is it a different first name? Great actor. The nurse, I believe, not the nurse that testified and had the letter. No, it was her, Caitlin Costello. We need, in this verdict, we need Bob or Robert Costello. I wanted to be a nurse. Who are these men? Oh, if you've never watched the verdict, it's fantastic. Concannon was brilliant. Only Paul Newman won the case. It was just fantastic. But another Costello, Robert Costello, he could just checkmate the whole thing. I know it's already over. The only thing that remains, though, if you were in a room and 12 like-minded people had the opportunity to try to destroy a person, I don't rule out jury nullification, which would be adverse to Trump. Usually you think of jury nullification as something that would help a defendant, like a father that perhaps killed the rapist or murderer of his daughter, and then he killed that person. I don't do many things that would be like, how do I put this, that would be considered to be wrong. But if I was on a jury and those were the circumstances, I would not find that father guilty. And that's just the way it is. Nope. No way. No way the man lost his daughter because of some scumbag, and then I'm going to send him to jail for the rest of his life? No, not happening. So jury nullification does happen. You have to understand that. And if they hate Trump more than they like their oath, then he could be convicted. But this is week 5, and there's still not a charge. Nobody, if I was, honest to God, if I was sitting there in the jury box, I would want to know what the hell is the criminal charge or charges here? What is going on? What are we doing here? This would be Admiral Stockdale. Who am I? Why am I here? There's no crime. But let's wait for Merchan with his jury instructions, because I think he is absolutely going to contaminate this trial with his jury instructions. Wait and see. And that's coming soon. This thing's going to be over. Like, there's a good chance next week that's over. Verdict, everything, over. I think the cross-examination of Michael Cohen will end today. If I were them, because there is no court tomorrow, I might leave a little bit for Monday of next week, because you know how things go. Thursday comes and goes. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You come back on Monday, and then you have something from the prosecution side. You have closing summations, and then the jury gets the case. See, I think the defense is not going to put a case on, which I'm in favor of. They don't have to prove they're innocent. The prosecution had to prove he's guilty, and they failed. So anything you do on top of that, I think just opens up unforeseen issues. Need to break. We'll be back. Don't go away. Told you it's huge. Huge news day, but every day is.
Mark Levin.
Now Donald Trump. What they're doing to Donald Trump, they're laughing at us all over the world. Our enemies are thrilled. They're laughing at us all over the world. It's sickening. And I'm telling you, come thick or thin, no matter what comes, hell or high water, this man must get reelected. That is, elected for a second term. It must happen.
Mark Levin on South Jersey's talk station, WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Fox News commentary.
California overlord Gavin Newsom was asked why his state is such a disaster, and his answer, climate change. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Donald Trump Jr. here. Since January of 2021, the cost of living has increased by 17.9%. You can't get that money back, but you can stop your losses by diversifying into a gold IRA from my friends at Birch Gold Group. To learn more, get your free info kit on gold IRAs by texting the word SHELTER to 989898. That's SHELTER to the number 989898 to get your free info kit from Birch Gold now.
Message and data rates may apply.
California is a mess. Some of the highest taxes in the nation, more gas taxes on the way, and yet the state has a budget deficit of nearly $45 billion. That's some pretty good handiwork on Gavin's part, given the state once had a budget surplus of $100 billion, and the California economy is the fifth largest in the world. When asked about his state's embarrassing multi-billion-dollar deficit, Gavin Newsom relied on a familiar scapegoat, climate change. $45 billion budget deficit blamed on historic rain? Or could it be his state is hemorrhaging residents and businesses? Or perhaps bankrupting the budget to provide for illegal aliens, or that bullet train to nowhere? Let's not forget about that state audit from last month, which detailed how the state can't really account for $20 billion spent on the homeless crisis. Or how about all of the above and more? I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless, at Outkick.com.
You're waking up with Hurley in the morning. WPG Talk Radio 95.5. You're waking up with Hurley in the morning.
It's well-balanced conversation.
It is.
WPG Talk Radio.
I feel very balanced.
95.5.
26 minutes past the hour. Why it is always important to poll relevant questions. You never know what's going to happen. Fox News did polling very recently. I mean, their polling just finished on the 13th, and they released it on the 15th. I mean, it couldn't be any fresher. And Trump leads everywhere, and Biden is behind everywhere, and he's behind in the battleground states, and he's behind with younger voters, Hispanic voters, losing ground with African-American voters. So everything that we've been telling you, whether it's New York Times, Siena poll, or any of the others, this is what it is. And that's why Biden came out with his debate challenge, which really was Trump's challenge. But it shows you in what bad shape Biden is. But Fox News, and this is a good question, when it comes to the presidential debate, how important is it that Biden and Trump debate? Extremely important, 41%. Very important, 23%. Somewhat important, 15%. So what is that? 41, 64, 74, 79. It's almost 80%. And only 20% not at all. This also was good that they did this. When it comes to the presidential debate, how important is it that ... RFK Jr. be included? 23% said extremely important. 20% said very important. So not even a plurality, but a pretty big number. 43% said either it's extremely important or very important that RFK Jr. be included. And and let me add this too. In fairness, I take back what I said a moment ago. 26% said somewhat important. So what is that? 69%. It's a big number. Only 29% said not at all. I think in fairness, he should be in it, but just being, what's the term I'm looking for? Not necessarily strategic, but in the interest of making it a binary choice. But in fairness, it's not a binary choice because RFK Jr. might be determinative in this whole thing. And he's going to obviously pull from Biden, even though you have frauds in the media that are trying to say he pulls more from Trump, or we don't know how it's going to go. Yes, we do know. Because even in the most recent Fox polling, Trump leads by 3 more points with RFK Jr. in the sampling than with him out of the sampling. So, yes, we do know. And it's in all the other polling as well. There was one outlier, and it was a garbage poll, and they tried to make it look like RFK Jr. hurts Trump more than he does Biden. Let me ask you this. If that were true, why wouldn't Biden, he could have done this and Trump would have said yes. Why didn't Biden want RFK Jr. in the debate? It would have been 2-on-1, right? Because that's not the truth. RFK Jr. is more against Biden than he is Trump. So that is the type of question that you don't see the other networks that poll or the other Democrat-leaning polling outfits. I think it was fortuitous because that is such a relevant question now. It was smart that they included it.
This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
Thank you. It's 31 minutes past the hour. I'm Harry Hurley. I have 3 stories that you can follow right now on our WPG Talk Radio 95.5 app. The decisive Atlantic City 5th Ward City Council election. I write about it this morning because, believe it or not, it's still not over from 2023. Human trafficking happens in New Jersey, in Atlantic County, New Jersey. We write about it. And the Atlantic City mayor and his wife have waived their first criminal court appearance.
Good morning. With your South Jersey weather forecast, I'm Joe Kelly. We're looking at a mostly cloudy day across South Jersey today. Just a very slight chance of a scattered shower. Otherwise, we'll get up to about 67 for our high. Tonight, clouds in 57, and tomorrow looks cloudy with a high of 66. As of right now, the outlook for the weekend, a chance of a scattered shower or 2 on Saturday, partly sunny Sunday. Highs both days expected to be in the low to mid 60s. That's your South Jersey weather forecast. I'm Joe Kelly. Have a great day.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5. For complete contest rules, visit WPGTalkRadio.com. You're waking up with Hurley in the morning.
I listen every morning.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Hey, thank you. Welcome back. It's 34 minutes past the hour on the Hurley in the Morning program. We appreciate you picking us and spending this portion of your day with us. So enough on the debates. They're going to happen. Biden got to choose when, where, how, and everything there is. But remember, he's still Joe Biden. I should add, though, that President Trump did accept immediately. He said, quote, "I hereby accept debating crooked Joe Biden on Fox News. I love this. The date will be Wednesday, October 2nd. The hosts will be Brett Baer and Martha McCallum. There was no immediate confirmation that such a debate had been offered or confirmed." I'm pretty sure. I mean, come on. I mean, they would take it. Believe me, I don't speak. I'm always careful what I say. But since I am not an employee, but a regular fill-in host. I'm a contractor with Fox News. I'm especially careful what I say, but even if they didn't propose that and Trump did, they would accept that because that would be fantastic. There should be that debate. Do the CNN, do the ABC, and then do the one with Fox. But I think there's something that's very problematic for Biden. He did not want a debate in front of America. He wanted it in a small room with his fellow Democrats, the media panel members, helping him. So that's pretty revealing, don't you think? If you hadn't thought of that, maybe you did, give that a little bit of thought. Why wouldn't you want to do it? I mean, I think they should. Look, Trump brought out 100,000 people. That's why there's debates, because the polling has been disastrous for Joe Biden, and they can't draw a crowd. They have shrunk Joe Biden. They said we have to use the little steps going up the plane. We have to do little events where he speaks very little, even in his challenge. I want you to go back and look at Joe Biden's challenge for the debate. It's something like 14 seconds long or something, and they edited it 8 times. You can tell. He can't even do that. They have to, it's like, all right, we'll take that one. We'll take that one. And then they have to splice and dice it and put it together. Look at it. Look at all the edits. It's so obvious. And look, Joe Biden definitely picked the debates to be early because if they're disastrous, they'll be forgotten. That's the whole idea. Look, they're doing it in such a controlled way that if he doesn't poop his pants at the debate, they're going to say, oh, he showed his vigor. No one can keep up with him. He stood. Oh, my God. So, the bar is very low for Joe Biden. But go look at him yesterday. Not the 8-cut edit of the challenge for the debates. Go look at his speech yesterday. He told somebody to stand up, and he said, oh, your dress is nice. And he started babbling incoherently. He doesn't have it. So let's see what happens. He's going to get the special vitamins and, whatever they do. Believe me, it's something. But it's just, there's not a lot there left for him to be able to perform well. And remember, even the orgasms that the Democrats and their pals in the media, one and the same, they're all Democrats, had over the State of the Union address, that was Biden reading a teleprompter. Not very well, but at least the words were there for him, to capture them and repeat them as best he could at this stage of his deterioration, which is obviously significant. But he's not going to have that. Now, is he going to know? But keep in mind, I don't even think they can cheat. Because even if he knew the questions ahead of time, he's not going to remember them. His short-term memory's shot. So if you told him an hour before what the questions were, I don't think he would remember them. But do I think that there's going to be collusion? You bet I do. They'll say there's not, but I believe there will be. They're going to know what the questions are. And Trump is not going to know what the questions are. And it doesn't matter because there's literally nothing that Trump can't speak about. He has an absolute command. You might not like some of his positions, but he has an absolute command of all the issues. Look, if you look at Biden right now, he's announcing stuff about the border. He's slapping tariffs on China. He trashed President Trump for his tariffs on China. Everything he's doing. But that, remember now, that is his whole career is plagiarizing. But that's what he's doing. It's interesting. For 3.5 years, he governed one way, very radically. And now in the 6 months, and it's less than 6 months now, and keep in mind, with voting starting in some places in September, it's not 6 months away even, or 5 months away. I mean, we're halfway to June. So get ready. You're talking about people are going to be voting in like 3.5 months, something like that. So I'm glad. Some people are like, oh, they're too early. Nobody's paying attention. I'm glad they're early. And hopefully Trump will get his way. And if Biden doesn't debate, Trump can say, look, I demolished him in these the June 27th and the September 10th debates, and he won't debate anymore. You know why? I said yes to his debates. He got to pick the networks. He got to pick the moderators. I asked him to do this one on Fox News. He wouldn't do that. Trump wants to do a fourth one. He wants to do 12. So we'll see what happens. But knowing the condition that Biden is in, I'm telling you, I don't know what they do. Unless there is some magical, what's that movie, The Notebook or something? Unless you've got James Garner, and I always forget she's fantastic. I always forget the other star. Then you have the two younger stars that play them when they're younger. I mean, unless you have James Garner in there and he's wooing what's-her-name for the whole movie, and at the very end, she remembers everything for a little bit. Unless they got The Notebook that they're going to bring out, I don't think this is going to be very good for Joe Biden, and there's no way they would risk it. They had an easy way out. Trump's a felon if he gets convicted. Trump is against every norm. The last time we debated, I didn't even get to speak. This man just yelled like a lunatic the whole time. There's just nothing, redeeming. There's no value to be had, and we're not going to do it. And I blame Trump for why I can't do it. And the media would have gone with that. Oh, it's a shame there's no debates because of Trump. Oh, no. Biden wouldn't debate. No. It's because of Trump. He had an out. He's doing so bad. As Trump might say, he's losing so bigly. That's B-I-G-L-Y. He's losing so bigly that not only is he debating, but he wants it to look like he challenged Trump. Yeah, I'll debate you twice, and I hear you're off on Wednesdays. So you can see he's also the reason that Trump is available on Wednesdays. That's another confession. He did it. They're selling T-shirts about Wednesdays. Trump's available on Wednesdays. Ha ha ha! Hey, that's really funny. You want to take someone's freedom away from them in a fake Star Chamber trial, and you're selling T-shirts. So I'm glad. I'm glad there is the June. I wish it wasn't June 27th, but I'm glad there is the debates. And Joe Biden, I'm sure they didn't want to do this, and they calculated that we need to change what's going on here. The truth is, and I study all these things, and I've been studying them for decades. Voters make their minds up. You hear this stuff like late deciders and stuff like that. That's fringe stuff. Voters make up their minds 6 months out. People already know the economy's terrible. Inflation is terrible. This president is weak. He's wobbly. I mean, he can't handle challenges like China. He can't handle the challenge of his own 2 feet. He wears special sneakers now because he has, in the loss of mental acuity, it's very, very common. I saw it recently with someone that's dealing with this condition. They shuffle. And that's why they trip and fall. Because they don't have a normal gait. They don't lift their feet like they always did. Because they can't. It's not their fault. They can't. And that's why they trip. And that's why Joe Biden walks up the baby steps now to Air Force One. If you saw what I saw, the diagram of what Biden has to do because he's using the baby steps, you wouldn't believe it. And the media won't show it to you. The course he has to take to get on the plane because he needs to use the baby steps is so cumbersome. But they can't afford him. I mean, one time he tripped 4 times. Joe went up, Joe go boom, he fall down. He got up, he fell down again. He got up, he fell down again. It was terrible. They can't have that. They literally can't have that. We'll be back. Don't go away. It is Hurley in the Morning. Wide open forum coming up in a little more than 15 minutes from now. Can't wait for your calls at 609-407-1450. We have quite a morning because you you have a lease with an option to buy the 7 o'clock hour almost every day on this program. John Zarek will be here in the 8 o'clock hour, and we have Joe Bertolino, the president of Stockton University, for today's 9 o'clock hour. We'll talk about graduation. We'll talk about a lot of things happening, including Stockton, Atlantic City. Much to talk about with the Stockton president coming up a little bit later in the program.
Hurley in the Morning.
If you really want to know what's happening in Atlantic City, it's Harry Hurley every single morning.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5. You're listening to Hurley in the Morning on South Jersey's talk station, WPG Talk Radio 95.5, and the WPG Talk Radio app. You're waking up with Hurley in the Morning.
Egg Harbor Township, Ocean City, Goshen, Cape May.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app.
Thank you. Welcome back. It's 10 minutes before the top of the hour. Wide open forum coming up in just a little bit. Let me see if I have a little bit more in my Felix the Cat magic bag of tricks. Oh, I used to love. Did you like the cartoon? Oh, I used to love it. Felix the Cat. Here it was. This is a Democrat rag. How bad are Biden's polling numbers? Right now, question mark, are you sitting down? It goes on to say, Democrats, quote, can't keep rationalizing away one crucial element of this race. If the question is, how bad is this really? The answer is pretty bad. This is another published report. The Democrats have a Joe Biden problem. Not seriously considering replacing Biden would be a huge mistake for Democratic officials. Biden's weakness becomes bigger and bigger worry for a Democrat. The polls show he's not doing well with some of the key voting blocks, young voters, black voters, Hispanic voters. So let me ask you this. Would you want to stand side by side with him? It's a Democrat political strategist saying that. I'm not holding their names out. They're speaking anonymously because they don't want to be, retaliated against and all the things that Democrats do. Ask Marty Small. Biden's weakness becomes bigger and bigger worry for Democrats. And it goes on and on and on. One thing I do know, when you look, when Biden just says, oh, these polls are wrong, and he's just saying that, you make your problem even worse than it is. Oh, and then he says we're doing so great. How about this? The recent polling this week on this topic. Is this a problem for your family? Grocery prices. 89% said yes. Gas prices. 84% said yes. Utility costs. 81% said yes. Healthcare costs. 80%. Housing costs. 74%. How about this one? If you look at what's called CPI, Consumer Price Index, inflation, from January of 2021 to April of 2024, it's as current as you can have because obviously we don't have May data in the middle of the month. This is as current as you can have. Overall prices are up just a tick under 20%. Food at home, up 21%. All energy, up 38.4%. And this is why, if they want to say, oh, this is good news yesterday, CPI went from 3.5 to 3.4. Yeah? That's not a good situation. Not a good situation at all. Here's some of the musings about why Biden wanted to debate Trump early and why Trump said yes. This is the New York Times. Tens of millions of dollars of advertising has not changed President Biden's polling deficit. Donald J. Trump's criminal trial has not altered the race's trajectory. And Mr. Biden's significant cash and infrastructure advantages have yet to pay political dividends. So, on Wednesday, the 1 weekday, Mr. Trump is not confined to a courtroom. The Biden campaign shook up the race, publicly offering to bring forward the first presidential debate. But guess what? Biden didn't shake up the race. He's still Joe Biden with terrible poll numbers. And Donald Trump is the one that has been challenging Joe Biden from his New York courtroom to debate. So Joe Biden is shaking it all up. And we've been telling you for weeks that Joe Biden has been doing this strategic Wednesday because Trump was controlling all the news cycles on Wednesdays. And so Biden has tried the last few weeks to shuffle around, have a group like of 3 people, read a teleprompter badly, make a lot of gaffes, and trying to make news on Wednesdays to try to take the news cycle away from Trump. But as I've often said, Trump is like a planet. So he's always going to be circling around the moon, and the planet is always bigger than the moon, or typically bigger than the moon, and that's what you have. You know, they talk about making a trip around the sun 365 days, or in a leap year, 366. Trump is planet Trump. Biden's like a dead planet, dead moon. Hey, what's that? I don't know. Is that an asteroid? I don't know what that is. Doesn't have an orbit. I don't know what the hell it is. Oh, that's Biden. I mean, that's what you have. Not trying to be unkind. That's what you have. Helena Abba said that Trump will destroy Biden in CNN debate. I have no doubt Trump will win the debates, but never, ever lose sight of the incredible dishonesty of the media to tell you didn't see what you saw. Yeah, you might think that Trump won, but really we think Joe Biden won. And here's why. I mean, that's what you get. Habbo said former President Donald Trump will destroy President Joe Biden in the upcoming presidential television debates, whether it's authentic or scripted. Quote, I'm excited to see it. I'm glad he accepted the challenge. I am too. I wouldn't want it. I would not have wanted. I know some people are like, oh, why did he accept all this? They should have negotiated. No. If he didn't accept it, because he's been the one challenging Biden to debates, he did the smart thing. He did the absolute right thing. Because if he didn't accept, it's not fair, but understand, if he didn't accept, the media would have all kinds of cycles where they would report, Trump kept asking for debates, and then Biden challenged him to 2, and Trump didn't say yes. And they would make it look like Trump is afraid to debate Biden. You have to understand, the game is rigged always in the favor of Democrats. So in order to have debates, Trump had to agree where it would be, when it would be, what the rules will be, who the moderators will be. Horrible, left of center, socialist Democrat news outlets that are totally pro-Biden. This is what you have to, in order to get it, that's what you have to say yes to. I'm glad he did say yes. And now let's maybe create a little bit of news when Biden turns down Trump's challenges, because all he did was laugh with that demented, crazy look that he gives when he can't answer something. He just laughs. It's weird. 609-407-1450. Your phone calls are next.
WPGG Atlantic City. WENJ HD3 Millville. A Town Square media station. Everything you need to know in 6 minutes starts now. From Harry Hurley Way in the world's playground to the broadcast pioneers of Philadelphia Hall of Fame, you're about to find out why Harry Hurley has been named to the Talkers Magazine list of the 100 most important talk show hosts in the nation. Live from the studios of Town Square Media in Northfield, it's Hurley in the Morning on WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app.
Hey, thank you. It's 6 minutes past the hour, and it is wide open forum as promised this hour. 609-407-1450. Hope you'll check in. If it's local, county, state, national, international, intergalactic, you want to talk about the Klingons and the Starship Enterprise, whatever it might be. 609-407-1450, an open phone line. Welcome to Hurley in the Morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Harry. Thanks for taking my call. It's Steve from Absecon Island.
Hi, Steve.
Hi. Always a good program. Harry, I always wanted to ask you, when people call in, how many listeners at any one time are listening to your program? I
will hold off on that only because there are certain times during the year that there are things going on in our industry that I do not comment about that kind of thing, and we're in such a time frame right now. So we'll hold that in abeyance, but we're very happy with our audience. I'll leave it at that, and I've been happy for almost 32 years. What else do you have?
Oh, I got 4 items, and I got a fun item at the end. So I'll just take like 10 seconds on each item.
Yeah,
I think there should be age restrictions on the presidency. And medical fitness for the presidency. We certainly do for police and fire and even pilots, right? You don't want those people who are helping other people and, excuse me, you don't want them to perhaps have some sort of medical issue or make faulty judgments when they're protecting the population. Now, we do have a minimum age restriction on the presidency, 35, based on the Constitution. Maybe it's time for a constitutional amendment to put a age cap.
Well, I think they obviously, and people like Adams and Jefferson lived to be 90, but people didn't live that long back then. President Washington was maybe upper 60s? Something tells me 69, maybe. I'll look it up. So I don't think they ever looked at the upper end. And I believe back in those days, experience and the elders in your society were considered to be, in like most countries, the wisest, and their counsel was sought. I don't think they ever looked at the upper end. The lower end kind of makes sense. I think even that is, probably it's constitutional because it's there, but really it's probably unconstitutional because who says that age? I know people that were presidents of very large companies in their mid to late 20s. So you'd be knocked out for a decade or more. So I don't like any of that stuff. I don't think we need a minimum age. I don't think we need a maximum age. But what we do need, though, and in fairness, it is built in. If you have a president who is unwell, there is the constitutional provision to remove someone. Now, the Democrats are corrupt. They're never going to do it. But it is there. So on that point, I'm in disagreement. I think let's put it this way. You look at like a Warren Buffett. What is he, 90-something? The guy is sharp as can be. Bernie Sanders is crazy as a bedbug, but he's 80-something. He's older than Biden. He's sharp as a tack. So I say it's not the age, it's the mental acuity.
Yeah, the issue I have is, like, who's going to make those determinations that the mental acuity is there? I mean, for political...
Well, there's supposed to be provisions to do that. The cabinet... but, of course, this is a very hyper-political time where they're not going to do the right thing. Not only are they not going to do the right thing, Steve, think about it. They lie and say, oh, my God, you should see what we see. Oh, my God, he's just like this when you see it. We can't even keep up with him. This is, oh, my God. So they're so bad, they go the opposite way.
I hear what you're saying. I just can't trust somebody being in that position to make a
Well, let me put it to you this way. Let's chew the fat on this one. What age would you pick? What upper age? Because we do have certain things. What is it? Pilots have to retire or something at 65, and things like that. And maybe there's some kind of thing for an emergency where they can be, I forget what the status is called, but 65 is the age there. What age would you pick?
I would probably pick 75, 78, perhaps 80, somewhere in that range. Okay.
I mean, is it a solution really to like a problem we don't have? Reagan surpassed 80. Biden has surpassed 80. Trump, when he wins, he will. But other than that, it's never happened in 250 years. So it's almost like a solution to a problem we don't have. The problem, once again, is Joe Biden, because his family is disgusting and disgraceful, and the people that know that he's a mess and that this is dangerous, what they've allowed to go on.
Harry, I would just be concerned with the people that they would put in place to make those determinations. So
I know, but what if you had a 76-year-old president first term, they hit 80, they can't run again, they're perfectly sharp, doing great, would be a wonderful leader for another term. You can make the case for Reagan, for example. There are people that say that towards the end that he was in early stages of this and that, but I didn't see it. I was surprised when all that came out. We do see it with Joe Biden. All right, that item I think we've done justice to that. What else do you have?
And I just want to say I'm going to think about it. You convinced me to think about it.
I just don't like picking a number because and always it's like never put a law in effect after a horrific tragedy like the Patriot Act and some of these things that they did that never would have been able to be approved. But the American people were in mourning and heartbroken, and we let it happen. And look what they did with it, with the fake FISA warrants and all these abusive things that they did, spied on Americans, lied on Americans, never put something into effect during a raw moment. So I would say make your calculus not include Joe Biden. I don't even think we would have talked about this if it wasn't for Joe Biden. So take a look at it from that dispassionate point of view.
Right. I'm never second item. I'm never a one issue voter. I could even take woke. I could take higher taxes. I can take, oil prices jumping through the roof, perhaps. But when it comes to the policies of the Biden administration supporting terrorism and negotiating with Hamas and the Taliban as if they are a legitimate, rational government run by the people is my red line. If he's going to put a red line on Israel, I'm putting a red line on his administration, saying you just don't do that. That's my red line. So I'm voting for Trump.
And think about this, Steve. He was, I will always stand with Israel. One day later, he stuck it to them. And now he's reversing it with this latest billion-dollar weapons gambit. He is a joke. He is just all over the place with this stuff.
Why do you think, Harry, what are your thoughts? Why does Biden in particular think that they can compromise with unrational people?
No. You're missing the whole point. He is trying to thread the needle because he doesn't want to lose Jewish support, and he can't afford to lose the pro-Hamas wing of the Democrat Party, or he loses Michigan, he loses Minnesota, and there's probably one other state that he could lose because of that. So it has nothing to do with doing the right thing or principle or anything like that. This is all raw politics to try to get reelected.
Okay. All right. Well, I didn't think 200,000 voters would swing a whole state, but okay.
Well, what are you talking about? 80,000 votes swung the whole presidency. That's an incredible comment you made.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Go
ahead.
Like that.
All right. What do you got?
Here's my fun thing.
Yeah.
The $9.99 buffet at the Atlantic Club. Boy, what a time that was.
The days of the buffet. COVID-19 really put the kibosh to almost all the buffets. Vegas was just legendary for them. And, of course, a lot of people from Vegas came to Atlantic City, and they became such an incredible staple in the Atlantic City casino industry, especially, and I was a part of the industry for the first 10, 12 years. So big. The buffets, if you think about it right now, there's actually only a handful of buffets that are even left.
Yeah, and this was the, for people who don't maybe realize, it was the old Golden Nugget and the Hilton.
Yep.
And the Atlantic Club, when they rebranded and they had this $9.99 buffet, I remember going there on St. Patty's Day. They had a whole leg of cow, steer, pickled, corn. Harry, it was to die for.
Oh, yeah, and the price is amazing. That's what's called, by the way, I never did the Atlantic buffet, but I heard of it, of course, and I did some work for the property, so I'm very familiar with it. This was after my career. I actually did some work with them. That would be called a loss leader when you do something that really makes no economic sense, except you want to bring people in and as a marketing type of strategy. So that's what that's all about. Because, for even then, we think about inflation today, but $9.99 for some of these incredible seafood buffets and the types of buffet that you're talking about, I mean, the value was incredible for the customer.
No doubt. And I'm sure they made money. Many people, even
I'm going to say they didn't make money on the buffet.
They did not, but they certainly...
they made their money because people then went and played slot machines and sat down at the tables. That's how they did it.
Thanks for taking my call, Harry.
You know it, Steve. Let's talk again. Let's revisit after you think about that. And you don't have to, look, just because we had a split decision on it, you stay with your thing. If you think that a sort of arbitrary age date would be healthy, some people, I think maybe a lot of people would agree with that. I think if you set it at 80, you might even be able to get a majority of the American people to agree with that. I'm just not one of them. I want to base it on the individual, and I don't want to set a policy because of Joe Biden.
But I also, that would be a knee-jerk reaction, no doubt about that.
Yeah.
But I also want to say I don't trust one side or the other putting in their own members to regulate the mental acuity of somebody.
Well, that's our system, though. Whoever wins has the power, and they pick their cabinet. And what you used to hope for was that there was integrity If a cabinet member didn't agree with what an administration was doing, they resigned. Or if the cabinet felt that the president was mentally shot, unwell, unfit, that they would do the right thing and enact the constitutional amendment to deal with that. But they won't, because we live in very corrupt times. To be continued, Steve. Break time. We'll be back. You can jump in 609-407-1450, an open phone line at 19 minutes past the hour. This is the Hurley in the Morning program.
Starting your day the right way with Hurley in the Morning.
Honesty and transparency, not afraid to get down and dirty and really just tell me the truth.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Turn up your radio. Here's the Sean Hannity Morning Minute.
Hunter Biden, a Delaware judge denied his request, or his lawyer's request, to delay the federal gun case, setting the stage for trial next month. The judge in that case denied the request to push the trial to September, which actually may be a favorite of Biden. And the defense argued they needed more time to line up witnesses and go through evidence handed over by prosecutors. And the judge said everyone can get what needs to be done. And by the trial start date of June the 3rd, he's facing charges related to the form he filled out as it relates to the gun charge, which, by the way, other judges have put people away for 5 years for the same exact offense. But anyway, so the judge refuses to dismiss that.
Check out the Sean Hannity radio show later today, right here.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential. But finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Enable our skill and tell your smart speaker, play WPG. Hurley in the Morning.
It's breaking news that I can trust.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Thank you. Welcome back. 24 minutes past the hour. Let's say good morning to Dan. Hello, Dan.
Well, I'll pay homage to Steve. Harry, I got 24 points that I'd like to talk about. But let's get to one.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a good one.
You're a great host.
Thank you.
Very kind to people. So this business with this debate, I mean, could you imagine if it was a sports event and the one team got to make all the rules? We're going to pick the officials. We'll pick the venue. We'll do this and we'll do that.
Yeah.
It sounds like we'll
pick the stadium, and we'll pick who can play, and we'll pick the referees. I mean, yeah, they got it all. And all Trump says, yes, I'll go into your rigged event, because he knows who he's going up against. There's nothing they can do. Literally nothing they can do. They can cheat. They can, do all these different little tricks that they'll try to pull off. You'll see. You've noticed how they interview Joe Biden when he does these 2-minute interviews now that he does. Did one the other day. It was something like 2 minutes and 40 seconds. They ask him questions basically that he knows he just has to say yes. You're Mr. President, and then the person doing the question will actually answer the question for Biden. Then they want people to think, hey, that was a good answer. Oh, wait a minute, though. That was the host that did that, though. That wasn't the president. He just said yes. Mr. President, Israel's, number one ally of America, only democracy in the Middle East. You're going to be with them, aren't you? Yes. I mean, that's what we've got now.
It's an amazing story, and I think what really moved the polls, and tremendous in Nevada. I think it's maybe 13 points or something.
It is 13 points. And by the way, that's with registered voters. If this was likely voters, it would probably be more like 16 to 18.
And how about the snarky comment? I hear you're available on Wednesdays.
Yeah, this is like I hate to even compare it to the mob because Biden's so dirty that's like a slur on the mob that's more honorable than he is. But that's that kind of technique. He wants you to know, I did this to you. And that's why Karine Jean-Pierre said the other day that, oh, no, I can't talk about that because it's part of the election. Yeah, because you guys put him there. You're admitting it. I mean, you people are unbearable. You're so ridiculous. And Biden saying, that I hear you're available on Wednesdays, that is a terrible thing for him to say.
And you hit it right when you said you guys, of course, it covers the girls, too.
That's right. Oh, yeah, because I'm never going to play their game. I stopped watching Survivor after like 20-some years because Jeff Probst one day said, are you offended that I say, hey, guys, come on over here? And then they all say, oh, no, it's no problem. Then later in the episode, somebody came to him, and then he brought everybody together for some woke meeting, and he said that someone had a problem with me saying, guys, I'm not going to do that anymore. You know me, Dan. I jumped off that show. I turned it off. I said, that's it. I turned it off in mid-episode, and I've never watched it again.
Well, let's do a bit of a question. Is woke working?
Woke is not working. To quote Kellyanne Conway, who said it on this program early in the morning, woke is broke. Woke is a joke.
And some of those 15 million jobs that Biden created, was that the people that the church workers and those folks that went back to work from the COVID, or is
they were COVID callbacks? That's all that was.
That's all that was.
Yep.
And it's amazing that he could say inflation was when he got there, it was 9%.
Right, and it was 1.4%. Look, if somebody said, hey, look, I got a tough, hand dealt to me. Inflation was 9%. And just say like inflation was 8.2, or I would never bother with something like that. But when you say that you inherited this and that, and it was 9%, but it was really in January of 2021, it was really 1.4%, you got to be called out for that. And in fact, even the Washington Post gave Biden 4 Pinocchios for that one.
And if you're Benjamin Netanyahu, you have to ask yourself this question: do I want the Biden Pentagon with Lloyd Austin and the general that took over from General Milley? Do I want them running my war? And the answer is 100%.
Well,
no.
And you don't even have to speculate that, because he said that Israel is, quote, not a vassal state of the United States. In other words, they're going to do what they're going to do, and they don't listen to the United States. Look, we're great allies and such, but if Israel told us not to do what we did after September 11, 2001, would we have listened? When President Bush introduced the Bush doctrine of that you treat anybody that supports the terrorists the same as if they are the terrorist, we weren't going to listen to anybody tell us that we couldn't. And look, we inadvertently killed civilians in some of the things that were done. That it's a messy thing, and unfortunately that happens. And I believe that Israel has taken more measures to not kill civilians, really, than anyone that's ever attempted to do such in history. So, yeah, he's not listening to them at all on that. And by the way, why did Biden all of a sudden go from I'll always be with Israel to you're not getting the weapons if you go into Rafah, to then now $1 billion in weapons and ammo? He's trying to please everyone, and you know what happens? You wind up pleasing no one.
Well, it's the reprisal of the old Ukrainian 2017 or late 2016 statement. If you don't fire the prosecutor, you don't get the billion.
Right.
So in other words, we're not going to give you aid unless you fight the war the way we want you to fight the war.
Yeah, how about that? Yep.
Oh, that's my one point, Harry.
Thank you.
Have a great show.
You too, my friend. 609-407-1450. You are next. Hang in there just for a little bit. We've got to do this first.
This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
And this is Harry Hurley with 3 stories that you can follow right now on the WPG Talk Radio 95.5 app. A decisive 5th Ward City Council seat is still not over. We have the story. Human trafficking. It does happen right here in Atlantic County, New Jersey. And we have that story. And the Atlantic City mayor and wife have waived their first criminal court appearance, just as we said they would. And there's a lot more. Check it all out.
Occasions only.
Good morning. With your South Jersey weather forecast, I'm Joe Kelly. It looks like a cloudy day across South Jersey today. There's a slight chance of a scattered shower. High temperature about 67. Overnight tonight, clouds and 57. And for tomorrow, cloudy with a high of 66. As of right now, the outlook for the weekend, a chance of a scattered shower or two on Saturday, partly sunny Sunday. Highs both days expected to be in the low to mid 60s. That's your South Jersey weather forecast. Have a great day. I'm Joe
Hurley in the morning. WPG Talk Radio 95.5. You're waking up with Hurley in the morning.
Established, reputable.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Yeah, I don't have time to go back too far, but a listener is a little confused. They thought that there's a debate that's going to be in September. The first debate will be June 27th. So obviously they missed our extensive monologue on it. Went all into it. It's Margie's birthday. June 27th is the first debate on CNN. September 10th is the second debate on ABC. Joe Biden controlled all the rules, where it would be, who the moderators would be, what can be done, what can't be done. Mike shut off when he says, I mean, it's a joke. And Trump, because to get Biden in there, you basically have to say yes. And so he did. Biden left, so he won't give an answer to Trump's challenge of a third debate. So we'll see what happens. I will predict that after there's 2 debates, Biden will say, we did the debates. 2 debates is enough. The country knows, the 2 of us. You know, I'm running against a convicted felon if he's convicted. You know, we don't need any more debates because he can't debate. He has to survive. They have to somehow flim-flam scam their way out of this. That's the reality. Go back and watch him from yesterday. I'm not going to ask you to just pick any one thing. The most recent example of what kind of condition Joe Biden's in. He asked some woman to stand up. He forgot her name. Stand up. Hey, that's a nice dress. I mean, he's so lost. And then he started to babble and speak some kind of incoherent, I don't know what it was, Mork from Orc language. He doesn't have it. So that's why there's no audience. And he has people that, are going to take care of him. If he needs a drool cup, they'll give him one. Just terrible. Welcome to Hurley in the Morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, this is Andrea calling from offshore in Summers Point.
Ah, welcome.
I always thought that was funny because offshore you think I'm calling from the Atlantic Ocean, but here it means you're calling that you don't live on the beach, right?
Right. You could say calling from the mainland as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Listen, what this is reminding me from the first caller, FDR, they hit his polio just like what they're doing with Biden as long as they could. I wasn't a fan of him. He kept us 7 more years in the Great Depression. But if you noticed how bad that commercial was that he made about the debate, they had to splice it together. They couldn't get him.
Oh, yeah, you missed my comments. I did a whole monologue on that. They did 8, to make it precise, they did 8 edits in a 14-second spot. I mean, how's that? Because he literally can't even do a whole sentence. Joe, just say, and then you will, and then I will. And you better say it exactly, because if you say it like that, he'll say the wrong word, like pause. 4 more years, pause. I mean, yeah, 8 edits in that short little challenge that he did.
Well, not only that, they have, they have all the people walking around him now on his way to Marine One, all around him so they can't see him shuffling. The stairs, he takes the back of Air Force One.
Yeah, I call him the baby steps. He takes the baby stairs.
Yeah. It just seems to me they're not showing any more of these campuses where these idiots are calling for the death of me.
And by the way, they did it as recently as yesterday in New York City. So you're right. They want to make that go away.
It's funny. It's not funny because I have to have my whole left leg rebuilt, and none of the doctors, I've been to 2 sets of surgeons down here, and they can't do it. It has to be done up at a real leading, but actually it's the University of Penn Hospital. And I got to really think about that if I really want to go up there right now, Harry, because, and I said to the doctor, I said, if I go up there, I got a bunch of idiots up there who want me dead. You know what I mean? I'm a Jew, and these people, they don't dislike me. They want me dead. And they said, well, they don't know at the hospital if you're Jewish. I said, well, usually, when you go in, you write, what your religion is, and someone comes to visit you, I usually put a J. They're like, they're not going to know. And I said, but I know the administration up there is allowing these idiots, all right, to demonstrate for the death of Jews. Why would I want to go to that hospital or anybody else like that? So you really have to think about it. Do I think they're going to know I'm a Jew in the hospital? No. But what I'm thinking about is the administration and how all that trickles down to their hospital and to anything else for people who want to go to the University of Penn in their hospitals. What do you think about that?
Well, I think you have reason for concern. I always want to believe that professionals will be professionals, but look in the education field. I mean, and this is not new. The anti-Semitism has been around in these major educational institutions for many, many years. But you have every reason to be concerned. I'm not saying anybody would do it, but an anesthesiologist could end your life in a heartbeat. Oops. Did everything perfect. Whoa, she's not waking up. What happened? So I'm not accusing anybody of anything, but I'm just saying I don't blame you for being a bit concerned. This level of anti-Semitism at supposedly, high professional levels is very deeply disturbing.
I'm not worried. My uncle retired. He was an anesthesiologist here at Shore Medical Center for many years. What I'm worried about is their administration, that they have this evil at the top. I'm not worried about the doctors.
Well, then how's anybody going to kill you then? I mean, if you're in good hands with the people that are actually going to touch you, that are actually going to do the work, then the paper pushers, what are they going to do to you?
Yeah, but no, I'm not talking about me.
Yeah, I know. And I'm not either. I'm saying theoretically, if it's not somebody at the point of contact, then they're going to be okay.
Yeah, I just don't want them allowing, all these people, I love the book, Hegseth, Poison Ivy. I'm talking about the lady that had to resign. Yeah. What was her name? They should have the top of University of Pencil, whoever's running it and letting these people scream killing of Jews, that they should be fired.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be allowed to let them. But okay, that's my point. That's my point. It isn't about personal safety.
Yeah, point well taken and understood.
Right,
thank you. You got it. 609-407-1450, an open phone line. You will be next, and you will be right after that, and we will be back right after this.
The WPG Talk Radio app is everything South Jersey on your phone and in your car through Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Local news, weather, and information updated around the clock from New Jersey's largest radio news team. Easy access to WPG podcasts and more. Powered by Smokers Haven. You'll find the finest selection of cigars at any of their 5 locations. Stop in and let them help you find the perfect cigar to pair with your life. Visit SmokersHavenNJ.com. Starting your day the right way with Hurley in the Morning. WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app. You're waking up with Hurley in the morning.
Makes me think about things a little bit differently.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
It is 48 minutes past the hour. 609-407-1450 phone lines are open. Welcome to Hurley in the morning. Thanks for calling in. You're on the air.
Hey, gracious. Good morning, Harry. I just wanted to chime in. Two quick things. The other day I got a letter in the mail informing me that the Fred Nichols golf tournament was coming up. And it just astounded me that, wow, look how long it's been since he's gone. And then I compared it to the current superintendent of schools for Atlantic City. And my heart sank, and I just said, geez, nothing is ever the same anymore.
No.
And the second thing is that in regards to these upcoming illusionary or I don't know, Lilliputian, because it's all going to be small talk. It's just that they're using a different version of, and I'm using the AI as arrogance and ignorance. They're so arrogant, and they ignore. And I've always thought that ignorance is when you ignore something that's very important. And that's when a person truly is an ignoramus. So it's just that I don't know how the medium or the theater of the mind is expecting people to actually believe what they hear from being coached by Ron Crane now.
Yeah.
And the fact that all these people...
Whose nickname when he was chief of staff was Prime Minister.
Oh,
now, so everybody listening, the idea there is the Prime Minister was running the country. That's the whole point there.
Well, what about all the czars, especially the lady vulgar mouth czar, Camila, Shamila?
One of my famous expressions, we talk about the vacuum. When there is a vacuum, it's like what's happened in the world. The United States, because of our just encumbered president, our president lacking the mental acuity to be the leader of the free world, the vacuum is filled. It's been filled by very bad despotic actors. There's the same reality here at home. So what happens is when you really don't have a president, all these other people then become the de facto leaders. And it's a huge problem. And the country has suffered mightily because of it.
If they can do away with Mr. Potato Head, I hope they get rid of this French fry. Harry, have a great day.
You too, my friend. See, you're cracking yourself up. 609-407-1450, an open phone line. Welcome to Hurley in the Morning. You're on the air.
Mr. Hurley, good morning.
Morning.
Police, the amount of officers being attacked, I think it's time they were given back their billy stick. It was a integral part of their uniform, and if they knew how to use it, people did not mess around with it. They did not need that gun on their side. That stick made people behave themselves.
Yeah, well, you can't have that anymore because in woke America, the truth's coming out. Andrew, I think it was, mentioned Pete Hegseth. He has a great book about all this woke crap in the military. These horrifically feminine uniform changes. It's all on purpose.
Well, it's done purposely, but I think it's something that a policeman needs today. What's his choice? He either takes a beating or he uses a lethal weapon.
I don't know if they carry them anymore, but police officers used to carry something called an ASP. And this thing was... it was devastating what they could do with it. They could do takedowns with it. It could be used as needed. It folded out. It was smaller on the tool belt, and you could bring it out, and it would be quite long and really effective. I don't know if they carry something like that anymore.
Yeah, it's probably...
There was another thing, I think it was called like a PR-24. I might have that a little messed up, but something like that they used to carry as well. What they've done, Biden had the audacity in the last news clip, the job of police officer has never been more dangerous. Yeah, because of you. I mean, it's incredible what these people say.
Right. The other thing, you probably touched on this. They have the trial that Trump is on right now in New York. It's coming to an end.
Yeah.
They have not established a crime yet.
That is correct. They haven't even said now. So people are clear on what you just said. They haven't even said what the crime is. They've had 5 weeks of this trial, and they haven't said what the crime is. There's never been anything like this. And I know this judge is not, he should absolutely entertain what's coming, and that's the defense motion for summary judgment dismissal. And this guy is a corrupt Democrat, in my opinion. Obviously, he's not going to do it. He wants to put it in the hands of the jury. And I'm also concerned that he's going to give the jury instructions that will allow them to convict President Trump.
But they don't know what to convict them of.
He's going to give them some gobbledygook. If you believe that President Trump, blah, 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 I don't know exactly how he's going to say it, but I have it formulated in my mind. He's going to give them instructions that will allow them to convict a former president, the defendant in this case, of something that's not even a crime. You know that's what's coming. Now it's up to the jury whether they're going to nullify, because they know Stormy Daniels should not even have been a witness. She offered no probative value whatsoever. I hesitate using that word. And it was just all salacious, tear down, take down stuff. And Michael Cohen didn't deliver a crime that was committed. In fact, all of his payments prove that he was just an attorney on retainer.
Something to look forward to.
Well, I hope, or something to dread. Something to dread. I'm not convinced. I won't believe that 12 people would find Donald Trump guilty of this. But if there's anywhere that you could get your wish here, and that's all they're going for, they did not put on a winning case. They are just hoping that they picked 12 people. And remember, President Trump's defense, they only had 10 preemptory challenges. There are all kinds of people in this jury that they never would have allowed to be on this jury.
Well, that's the other.
If the two attorneys on the jury are Trump haters, think how persuasive they can be in the jury room. Look, we're attorneys. We do this every day. He's guilty. Come on. You got to see it. Mr. Magoo can see he's guilty. And then somebody will say, well, what is he guilty of? He's guilty of it. Well, what's it? I mean, this is going to be fantastical. I think it's either going to be an acquittal or a hung jury. And I kind of lean towards the hung jury because there's 34 counts, even though it's just 34 checks. It's all the same. It's one charge, but they have 34 checks. So if you find him guilty of one check, you got to find him guilty of all 34. So this is crazy what could happen here if they're willing to do jury nullification. New York, California, Fulton County, Georgia. I mean, these are places where you could get a Trump-hating jury, a runaway jury it's called, that could convict him. I pray that doesn't happen. He's going to win on appeal. What'll be really interesting to see is if he's convicted, if Merchan will allow him to remain free on bail. And will he set some kind of hundreds of millions of dollars? Keep in mind, New York lets criminals that violently assault people. They just made a deal with all the illegal aliens who assaulted police officers. They made deals with all of them while they're trying to crush President Trump. I mean, it's maddening what's going on right now.
Certainly is.
All right, my friend. Good to talk to you. Time for one more call. And it would be you. Welcome. You're on the air.
Harry?
Speaking.
Harry, I just have one question.
Okay.
What is wrong with the Jews? If it wasn't for the Jews, we wouldn't have the Word of God.
Well, we know nothing is wrong. But for whatever reason, we have a pro-Hamas wing of the Democrat Party that is very anti-Semitic. And for whatever reason, we have these higher institutions of learning that have a very mean anti-Semitic streak in them. And it's not new. It has nothing to do. It's just been exposed because of the Hamas and Israel war of the moment. That anti-Semitism has always been there.
Oh, gosh.
I know. It's terrible. But keep voting for Democrats, though. It's really good. It's really spectacular.
Harry, you got it.
Yep. Have a great day, May. Thanks for calling. That's it. The music says we have to go, but that's open forum. Two-way talk the way it is supposed to be. We took a lot of calls, and I loved all of them. We have John Zarek coming up, and then in the 9 o'clock hour, the president of Stockton University, Joe Bertolino. You know, I never mentioned this, but I'm going to mention it now that graduation is over. I really believe that Stockton University would have graduation and not have any of these disruptive type protests. I didn't want to say anything in advance, but it was on my mind. They graduated, if I'm not mistaken, more than 2,000 students, and they didn't have any of this. So credit to Joe Bertolino and the philosophy of, governance, if you will, at Stockton University, because we didn't see any of this nonsense that you're seeing in very close by neighboring states. John joins the program next.
WPGG Atlantic City, WENJ HD3 Millville, a Town Square media station. Everything you need to know in 6 minutes starts now. From Harry Hurley Way in the world's playground to the broadcast pioneers of Philadelphia Hall of Fame, you're about to find out why Harry Hurley has been named to the Talkers Magazine list of the 100 most important talk show hosts in the nation. Live from the studios of Town Square Media in Northfield, it's Hurley in the Morning on WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app.
Thank you. It is 5 minutes past the hour, and welcome to Smart Law with John Zarek. This is a regular weekly program that is presented and sponsored by the law offices of John Zarek every Thursday morning in the 8 o'clock hour. John is the official and exclusive lead counsel for criminal defense legal matters for the Hurley in the Morning program. The law offices of John Zarek, they focus their attention on all their efforts on criminal defense law. I really love that about them. And I'm not putting down any practitioner that does like a whole bunch of different disciplines, but they're not in family court. They're not in this court. They're not in that court. They're doing criminal defense law. It's what they specialize in, and it's what they're really, really good at. The goal was to provide you and yours at the law offices of John Zarek with the very best legal defense. You can reach John and Brendan and Stephanie and the entire team at 609-641-2266, or you can visit them digitally on the web at johnzarek.com. Counselor, welcome to Smart Law with John Zarek. Be smart, please.
Good to be.
We can't be frauds. We can't be, fake advertising here. It's got to be smart law, John. Got to be smart.
Yeah, we have some evidence of some brains.
Yes, agreed.
I can say that.
Agreed. You go past the bar. There's no question about that.
But as I say, brains without commitment is not worth anything.
That's
so
true.
you can be smart as a whip. You can even study a lot. You can do things that get you notoriety, but if you don't have a commitment to the client, then the client's in trouble. So
true.
A lot of people in law can do some pretty spectacular things, but their commitment is limited. So they'll do what they think is a reasonable amount of work for what they've been paid or what they've committed to.
John, in your case, you get both. And I know, you don't like it when I brag about you, but you get the brains and you get the really supreme effort that you and your firm that you are willing to do. When you have a client, you are all in for the client. So you actually get both. I'm just going to do a flyer here. I'd rather have someone that's you have to have a certain level of aptitude, but I would rather have a harder worker with less skill sets than somebody with more knowledge, if you will, but doesn't work as hard. Now, in your case, you're going to get both. You're going to get the brains and you're going to get the effort. But you see what I'm saying there, John? The hard work, the person willing to do the hard work that is truly committed, that to me is as important as, the brains.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking yesterday to an attorney in Camden County, and he's involved in kind of the other half of a case that I'm involved in another county. So we have to coordinate, and I need to know what's going on with him and so forth. So this was our first conversation. I'd never met him before. And he just told me a lot of the things that he has done. And he said, I know you have this coming up in your court. This is what we're doing to, make things more advantageous for you, which is good for the client, obviously. And, I told him, and he discussed those things. And, half of what he's doing is not necessary. His job is to take care of a particular case in a particular county, in Camden County in this case. And he didn't have to do it. He didn't have to worry about me in my work in the county I'm working in for that client. He could just have done his job, and that's it. But he's going out of his way to help the client. He wants to do the best job for the client, and the best job for the client would involve, if an attorney is really good and committed, would involve coordinating with me, doing things. He's done things already that we hadn't talked about, that he knows are going to set my case up for a much better disposition. And so that was pretty cool. And I told him, I said, this conversation really makes my day. We talked about his background, and he's always a committed guy, always a committed guy. And it's a pleasure to talk to someone like that. And I told him, I said, look, it's always great to have a true believer. So that's really a code that criminal defense lawyers use. When you say a guy is a true believer, it means he or she is going to do anything, is always going to be thinking how to do the best for the client. What else can I do? How can I step outside the box to do more? And so that's what this guy is. And I was happy as can be. I couldn't have been happier, because I care about what happens to my client.
Yep.
Very, very good person, who through some difficult associations, I shouldn't say associations, I should say relationship problems, has found herself in some pretty grave difficulty. And to hear this guy just being committed to doing the very best, and even help me doing the very best before we even talked. I mean, he knows about the cases, and he knows what up there will help me do my job better down here. That was really a special day. And there are people like that around. I mean, there are people, they're called, they're known in the practice as true believers. You know what that means. That means somebody who really believes in providing what they say they're going to provide, which is a proper defense, to not cut corners, to, kind of go over the cliff financially sometimes. I mean, there are times when we quota fee in the case, and that's typically what we do. We typically do flat fees, and that, fee is a fee that over time, if we charge that fee, we'll be okay. We'll be able to pay the bills and salaries and so forth, and get proper training, have the right computer support, and all the things you need to run a practice, and not be, cutting corners. So we set a fee that's a fair and just fee for that type of situation. But what happens when, and I tell people this right away, what happens if things kind of get out of control? Not a new case, not new evidence, but, maybe a prosecutor with a particular resentment about this particular client, or a view of the case that is not normal in our opinion, that they kind of, you run into that from time to time. People just go off. What do you do then? What if you think the case is going to take 4 months of work, and a year later you're still slugging it out, and making court appearances? Well, there are a lot of people who will look for the exit sign, but
yeah, I'm sure there's cases where if you income averaged out your hourly rate, it would be very low if it's a case that wound up going longer than you thought. But you do the work.
Yeah, and there are cases the other way too.
Yeah,
true.
True.
That less time is put in than what is estimated. But in our opinion, we discussed this fully with clients in the beginning. Clients understand. I said, it may work out this way, it may work out the other way, both extremes. And I had one guy he said, John, I don't care if you do it by mental telepathy. If you don't even pick up the phone, you're worth it if it works out that way. So, yeah, it's satisfying. So we know we're not beating anyone. We know we're confident, so we can sleep at night. It's good. And you and other attorneys, prosecutors and other defense attorneys, they know you'll do that.
Oh yeah, they know you're a long distance runner. You're in it till the finish line. You're not, taking the shortcuts or anything. They know that, and that's always very helpful when that reputation is earned, which it has been in the case of John Zarek and the law offices of John Zarek. They appear on your behalf. You are well represented. And John, I'm saying that through a wide spectrum of observation of knowing you and your team, the entire firm. We're going to be right back. It's approaching 17 minutes past the hour on Smart Law with John Zarek. Coming up right after John, it'll be my pleasure to welcome back the president of Stockton University, Joe Bertolino, today for the 9 o'clock hour. We'll be right back with John.
Hurley in the morning.
They really do separate fact from fiction.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5. You're waking up with Hurley in the morning. WPG Talk Radio 95.5. You're listening to Hurley in the morning.
Egg Harbor Township. I'm from Margate.
Listen at home or in the office on your smart speaker. Just say, play WPG.
Brigantine.
Cape May. Galloway.
Hurley in the morning on South Jersey's talk station, WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Back to John Zarek in just a moment. It's Harry Hurley for Batteries Plus right here in Northfield. Also, another great store in Mount Laurel, New Jersey. And they're one of our WPG industry aces. If you have a car, truck, marine, RV, camper, golf cart, ATV, mobility scooter, or motorcycle, and you need a battery, they've got it at Batteries Plus. If you want to get ready for the storm season, if you need LED, if you need emergency lighting, a portable generator, or surge protectors, Batteries Plus has them all. If the screen on your tablet or your smartphone, if it's broken, they can fix it. They'll fix it while you wait. I've done the battery replacement, and they're terrific. They know how to, because these phones now have a watertight seal. They know how to do it right. And I did it with absolute confidence that the phone I got back, it was perfect. And they did it right while I waited. So if you have the need for a new battery, if your battery's not holding a charge, you don't necessarily have to get a whole new phone. You can just get the new battery right at Batteries Plus. And they've got it all. If you need the battery for your remote control, these are called like key fobs, they have it. They do it all. If the port, the speaker, the charging area, the microphone, anything basically that's inside a phone, they can fix it. Batteries Plus, and we fix it. 900 Tilton Road in Northfield, Route 73 in Mount Laurel. Stop into one of their locations and enter to win a pair of tickets to see Journey and Def Leppard. Hey, John, I want to rip a story straight from the headlines because this has now been happening with a bit of regularity. A fifth American has been arrested, and Turks and Caicos is a place that a lot of Americans go to vacation. What they've done, and I know, John, you know about this, they have upped the criminal penalties of ammunition and things like that. So what's happened now, I'll give you one example. This guy's a hunter, and his suitcase, he didn't realize it, his suitcase had a few stray bullets in it. Well, he's been in jail since April 28th. It's May 16th with no end in sight. So you talk about danger. I guess traveler beware. We have to know exactly where we're going and what potential danger could happen, or you could be in another country and wind up fighting to get your freedom back. What are your thoughts about that law change that they have now in Turks and Caicos?
Yeah, those things that's something that our State Department and the president should be dealing with promptly. That kind of stuff doesn't happen when we have a really firm president. I agree, but we don't, and they're not working with them. These people are with lawyers, and they are fighting the laws of another country that changed recently where that wouldn't even have been a problem. Oh, look at this. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm a hunter, and I didn't even know that was in there. It's just an accident. And then they would take it, and that'd be that. Not now. Now you are locked up. And there are people that haven't seen their relatives in a couple months, and this is, as you would call it, this is dangerous, John. Yeah, it's the kind of thing that's going to happen when they're not afraid of the United States or don't respect the United States. So these things start popping up. Yep. It won't. It's not just here. It's any number of places. True. These things pop up, and they don't feel any consequences if they continue. Maybe get some local press or some local political support. But I guess what it also means, though, John, you can never be too careful before you go and check your bag in, and then that bag is now in that foreign country. The next time you see it, you're going through wherever, customs or wherever you have to go through to get into that country, and then they choose you and they inspect your bag. If they find one marijuana joint or who knows, a nickel bag of this or that, or a couple of stray bullets, if this is the current atmosphere, then what unfolds next can be a really big problem. Sure. Yeah. I mean, you can have innocent people doing any number of innocent things and get caught in a web, and it's sort of like the thing they apply to kids in school. One kid is maybe being bullied, and another kid punches him in the head and pushes him down. And because the kid who's on the bottom, who's already got his lip cut open and his nose bloodied, because he struggles to defend himself, he gets expelled or suspended. And the parents will say, what is this? Here's the film. This is what happened. Oh, zero tolerance. We have a zero tolerance policy. Yeah. Which is
That's what they said, actually. Exactly.
Which is the most offensive. Yeah, it's the most offensive concept in law. In other words, you didn't do anything wrong. You didn't try to do anything wrong. You didn't intend to do anything wrong. A crime was not committed.
Right.
And in the case of the kid in school, he did nothing. There was no offense. It's just that he was involved in a fight.
Yes, because somebody can beat you up, and if you don't even fight back, and you just allow yourself, and I don't think anybody should ever have to do that, but if you did do that, their zero tolerance policy is you were in a fight, you're suspended just like the person that beat you up. John, that's sick. That is twisted. That is sick, and that has to change. If you should never even have to here's how it used to be, John. And somebody like the great George Dennis at Atlantic City High School was very good at sorting all through this. If somebody attacked you and you defended yourself and you both wound up in what was called either room 116 or then in those days, Mr. Gregg, or in George Dennis's office, he would sit you both down and talk to you. And you say, hey, Mr. Dennis, I was minding my own business and this guy attacked me. He'd say, you go back to class. You're fine. Goodbye. You go ahead, leave. And then he would deal with the aggressor. Now it is, you got to let yourself be beat up and you still get suspended, John.
Sure. And it's just laziness on the part of administrators.
I don't agree. I don't agree at all. No, it's woke. It's woke crap. I don't think it's just laziness. They want these kinds of intolerant procedures and rules in place. I wish it was just that, because then if they got a new principal or a new vice principal of discipline, it would correct itself. I don't agree with that at all. I think it's on purpose, and it is all part of the woke agenda.
I agree.
Thank you.
You're right.
Thank
it's
you.
Laziness and the woke agenda.
There you go. I agree with that.
It makes life very easy for administrators or people whose job it is to straighten these things out.
You don't have to sort through anything. Hey, you're both suspended for a week. See you in a week. Bye-bye. Wait a minute, I didn't do anything. I got attacked. Bye-bye.
Yeah. It's disgusting, actually.
And I think that family should be able to sue that district and recover, because if you go to school and you get beat up and you get suspended for being beat up, there's something twisted and sick about that, John.
Sure. And I know that, it's important to stop kids that are aggressors. Now, often there's a reason they're aggressors, but there has to be accountability. And if they're aggressors and they're bullies and they're doing something outrageous to another kid, then they should be punished. But the victim should not be punished.
No.
But you're right. It's kind of a woke thing. It's a way to make life easier for the bosses, for the administrators,
it's just just terrible.
Yeah.
God, it's so bad. John, hold on. We're right at the 8:30 break. We're going to be right back. Joining us in a little over 30 minutes from now, Joe Bertolino, good guy, the president of Stockton University, for today's final hour plus of the program. We have a lot more to cover with John Zarek. It's Smart Law with John Zarek, back right after this.
This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
30 minutes past the hour with John. I'm Harry, and I have 3 stories that you can follow on our WPG Talk Radio 95.5 app. The decisive, and I say decisive because it's a 5-4 split city council. The decisive Atlantic City 5th Ward City Council election is still not over, believe it or not. We have the story. Human trafficking, believe it this one or not, it happens in New Jersey, in Atlantic County, and the Atlantic City mayor and his wife have waived their first criminal job.
Good morning. With your South Jersey weather forecast, I'm Joe Kelly. We're looking at a mostly cloudy day across South Jersey today. Just a very slight chance of a scattered shower. Otherwise, we'll get up to about 67 for our high. Tonight, clouds and 57, and tomorrow looks cloudy with a high of 66. As of right now, the outlook for the weekend, a chance of a scattered shower or two on Saturday, partly sunny Sunday. Highs both days expected to be in the low to mid 60s. That's your South Jersey weather forecast. I'm Joe Kelly. Have a great...
You're waking up with Hurley in the morning on South Jersey's talk station, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Starting your day the right way with Hurley in the morning.
We need to just listen to the facts.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Thank you. It is 35 minutes past the hour. Back to John Zarek in just a moment. This portion of the Hurley in the Morning program brought to us in part by Congress Hall. Talk about a running start. They have been in operation since 1816. America's oldest seaside resort is Congress Hall. Congress Hall is a place where presidents have stayed, musicians, artists, dignitaries of all kinds, esteemed guests for more than 200 years. And your company has also requested, and it is a wonderful time. Margie says that one night at Congress Hall is like a vacation. Congress Hall stands as the grandest of them all in Cape May, an icon of relaxed elegance, warm hospitality. They've welcomed generations of travelers, as I've mentioned, since 1816. Great American charm. From the moment you walk through the door, you will see the throwback, the marble-floored lobby, the American flags that line the history hallway, spacious ocean view guest rooms and suites. An overnight stay at Congress Hall makes you feel like you're stepping into your own little cottage by the sea, which is what Congress Hall has been referred to as for more than 200 years. They pair world-class amenities, healthy indulgences, great dining. You've got the Sea Spa that's on the first floor. You have the Blue Pig Tavern. You have the Brown Room Lounge. You have down in the basement, which was the boiler room, still called the boiler room, but there's no need for the coal that used to occupy all that space. And now it is a great restaurant, dancing area. They have it all. And remember, during the spring, a midweek stay means less crowds and the best rates. Book your stay at caperesorts.com/Congress Hall. Congress Hall, America's first seaside resort. Counselor, time is yours.
Yes, Harry. I wanted to mention, not just mention, but talk about Ukraine for a while. Congress passed the $61 billion spending bill. Call it a spending bill, but I'd like to call it a save the world bill, really, to provide weapons that Ukraine needs. It's about a 6-month delay in getting that bill passed. And it's, in that 6 months, a lot of people got killed for lack of ammunition. We have to think and always keep in mind that these decisions, a little delay, a little hemming and hawing about passing a bill, a little too much political thought going into this by senators and congressmen. You can do it, but it's going to cost thousands of lives. Thousands of brave Ukrainian soldiers, got killed in that period because the Russians could shoot 10 shells at them, artillery shells, and Ukrainians had one to fire back and had to wait until that opportunity came. So, I know I spoke to a lot of congressmen in person in D.C. About during that period, and the most important thing I could say is that the delay is just costing thousands of Ukrainian lives. And the thing that would get people's attention, I was a little surprised at how readily members of Congress were willing to talk to us. But the thing that gets their attention is that the system works like this. If the Russians are coming, the Ukrainians are excellent technical operators. They just, they can hit any target, any place, any time. They're just phenomenal. So instead of dealing with a Russian attack 3 miles out or 5 miles out or 2 miles or 1 mile, they don't have the shells to do that. If you don't have the artillery shells to fire, you can't stop that attack. You can't knock out that armor. So they have to wait till the Russians are on top of them. And if you do that, then instead of one person getting killed per unit, 5 get killed per unit. And that, replicate that across the country, and that's what was going on for months. So finally they did pass the bill. But one thing I'm really disappointed about, very disappointed, and it just shows the lack of urgency about anything important that this administration is dealing with. Everyone knew this bill for a while. They knew the bill was going to pass. There was hemming and hawing. They knew the bill was going to pass, but they, weren't ready. So the bill passes, and then it seemed to me there were some things that went over quickly, but most of the aid, it's like now they're getting around to it. And so, of course, my Ukrainian friends, and I don't work for the Ukrainian government, but I'm in contact with a lot of people in Ukraine. The one thing they needed was they needed weapons, and they needed that passed quickly. Well, it didn't happen quickly, but then once it was passed, they needed the stuff. I mean, nothing changed between, they say if 3 frogs are sitting on a log and 2 of them make a decision to jump, how many are left on the log? And people say, well, 1. No, making a decision to jump doesn't mean you jump.
There you go. Right? Do it.
You're still sitting on the log.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where we are. So we passed the bill, but our friends are still, some of the stuff is getting there, of course. And a few of the things got there a little early, I'd say. But vast numbers of items, defense items, lethal weapons are not reaching there yet, and they're kind of working up to it. But so it just, you can do that. You can have a policy or a reason for doing it, a political reason for doing it, but it boils down to lives, and lives of the very best people. The people. This is not a fight between Ukraine and Russia. This is in fact, Russia doesn't say that. They say this is a fight against the West, and particularly the United States. That's the way they couch it. And anyone with any sense couches it that way. It's a fight between the U.S. and Russia, and that's really what it is. We have allies in that fight, and our absolute number one ally is Ukraine, because those guys are willing to spend their lives and limbs in order to, and risk and endure destruction of their cities.
Is China as much in a proxy war aligned with Russia as we are with Ukraine?
Absolutely not. No. They're
tangentially though. They're sort of aligned a bit though, right?
Yeah, in the sense that all countries like to make money.
Yeah.
And if you're running an industry in China and you can make sales to, and everybody benefits when China sells something or sells massive amounts of something. The taxation goes up. The politicians who are connected with those people, those industries, they make money. the owners of the industries make money, and those people are often connected with the Chinese government.
And John, not to mention geopolitically, China is aligned with Russia, and they're against us.
Sure, I mean, allegedly, but China's about making money.
Yeah.
China's about making money, as I said before. You know, Xi is like the mafia don who doesn't want anything done that's bad for business. I mean, you go to a cocktail party in Beijing, what do you hear? Oh, my son just got into Harvard. My daughter just graduated from Stanford Law. You know, that's what they're into.
The beautiful people parties. John, hold on. We'll get the last break in. We'll come back strong. We'll have about 10 minutes uninterrupted. More Smart Law with John Zarek. After this, Joe Bertolino, the president of Stockton University, will join us right after John.
Hurley in the morning.
Harry Hurley is the only person on the radio who isn't afraid to speak the truth about what's really happening in Atlantic City.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Hurley in the morning. WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app. You're waking up with Hurley in the morning.
I'm looking for trustworthy news.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
You are in the right place. Hey, John, may you yield 30 seconds to me to answer this question for me. Have you ever heard of a criminal case, and I'm referring to New York City v. Trump, where 5 weeks into the trial, I'm not even going to get into opinion about that they haven't proven any crime or anything, but they haven't even said what the crime is. Is that unusual, maybe even unprecedented?
It's illegal.
I thought so.
If you don't state, in New Jersey, if you don't state, the prosecutor must stand up and lay out the crime.
They didn't do it.
And lay out the facts that constitute the crime. And if they don't do that, the judge can direct a verdict of not guilty, can make a finding of not guilty, and that's the end of the case. I mean, the prosecutor has the burden. Defense never has to say anything. I do, of course, in opening statement and closing argument, but defense never has to do anything. The burden is always on the state. So if the state doesn't meet its burden, they're gone, and that can happen.
Yeah, well, but I don't think with this judge it can happen because I think he's actually going to give jury instructions that will be very novel.
Yeah, it's pretty much a fiasco. The left and the right are both recognizing now that this is
it's a disaster.
Really a terrible blow to the justice system in the United States.
You know, I've come to the conclusion, John, that they knew they had a terrible case. They didn't put on a good case. Stormy Daniels never should have been allowed to be a witness because there was no reason. If this is supposedly, but they don't tell us, but supposedly a trial of did the president pay for something and then by paying for it, create another crime that they attach to it, but they don't say exactly what it is because they can't. Because if it's a New York crime, then the statute of limitations is over. If it's a federal crime, he doesn't have the authority to have bootstrapped that charge. So this is just it is a mockery what they've done here. But I'm concerned that he's going to give this jury some kind of wild instructions where somebody could be found guilty of something that's not even a crime, and then it's going to be left for the appellate courts, to reverse this horrific judge. But I agree with everything you said, John. This does not inspire confidence. And how much damage do you think they've done to our system?
It's incalculable, the damage, and I think that this is a conspiracy. It's a conspiracy against, in all four jurisdictions. It's a conspiracy to unconstitutionally prevent the people of the United States from choosing their president. That's what it is. It's a political prosecution, and those political prosecutions are just falling apart before our eyes. And I think what they deserve, I think the people who did this, especially Bragg, and the Attorney General, and Fani Willis, they deserve to be put in jail for life. They deserve, because this is an attempt really to destroy the Constitution of the United States and the functioning of our judicial system. And it's something that's never been done before. And it's something that is just completely disgusting with regard to reference to the Constitution and our way of life. It really is a horrible crime. And gradually they're getting exposed. And I hope that they not only lose this, but that they're prosecuted aggressively, because this is a conspiracy. This is, and you don't have to have a written document that says we agree to prevent Donald Trump from we agree to prevent Donald Trump from being the president, from campaigning and so forth. It can be by the actions of the people. You can infer that there's a conspiracy, an agreement among these people to do this thing. They all waited for years and years and years to bring these charges. And they waited years and years because they wanted to bring the charges to prevent him from campaigning, prevent him from being elected president. It's as bad as it can get, in my opinion.
Yeah,
maybe I'm more sensitive than others because I work in the criminal justice system, and I know how far off this is. Even when CNN is attacking the left-wing people for what they've done, the prosecutors and so forth for what they've done, and Joe Biden on television the other night said, a crack like, well, maybe we can do it on Wednesday. Trump is off on Wednesdays.
He said you're available on Wednesdays, and they actually now have T-shirts. So they have merch. They did this. They created this hideous, unjust situation, and now they're making money off of it. So they rob the person of their time, and then they actually make a mockery of it and actually expose themselves as involved because of what they said and what they've done.
Yeah,
it's a bad it's a bad example. And I would agree, and it won't happen, but I would agree, maybe it happens with a new attorney general, but it won't happen under the current circumstances because they're all in it together. But it should be done. And I'm hopeful that, for example, in Fulton County, Georgia, which is it's a horrible place. You would never want to be a defendant in Fulton County, Georgia, except if you were actually a bad guy, you would have a better chance than if you were a good guy. It's really, let's not forget, on the same day they're trying to crush the immediate past president, they made a deal. They made a plea bargain with the illegals who assaulted police officers in New York City. John, this no matter what anyone's politics are, this is crazy.
Yeah, it is. And I still don't believe that Biden, because he's a former president, I don't believe Biden or any other candidate for president or any former president should be subject to criminal prosecution, even though there's going to be lots and lots of evidence. I believe that he was acting in a criminal manner with regard to these prosecutions, that he directed these prosecutions. I still don't think that should be done out of respect for our constitutional system, out of respect for the presidency. And
actually, the smartest thing he could have done, and I've given this a lot of thought, he could have pardoned Trump on all the federal stuff And then he could have told the local people, knock this crap off. With this, we're going to win this in a fair and square arena. We're not going to do it this way with lawfare. I think he would have gotten a tremendous amount of mileage out of that. Instead, it's all been helpful. It's a terrible thing to have to go through, but it's all been helpful. John, 20 seconds, closing comment.
Yeah, the closing comment is we have operating well Ukraine Humanitarian Inc. Look at UkraineHumanitarian.org. We really need money. I can tell you, I just made a donation of $7,500. So I'm going to ask my friends out there to match it. Maybe all together you'll match it, but donate to UkraineHumanitarian.org. And if you need any help with donations, just call my office and we'll guide you through. We need...
John, I took you to the last possible second. Joe.
From Harry Hurley Way in the world's playground to the broadcast pioneers of Philadelphia Hall of Fame, you're about to find out why Harry Hurley has been named to the Talkers Magazine list of the 100 most important talk show hosts in the nation. Live from the studios of Town Square Media in Northfield, it's Hurley in the Morning on WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app.
Thank you. Welcome back. 6 minutes past the hour. I'm thinking about this during the break, and I'm not an attorney, so they say attorneys should not ask a question they don't know the answer to, but I'm not an attorney, so I'm going to do this. Is it possible Joe Bertolino, famed president of Stockton University, that I had the privilege to run for the great Olympic champion Larry James at your wonderful higher learning institution, is it possible that this has been a year already?
Thank you very much for having me, Harry. Yes, it has. I just finished my first academic year here at the university, and hard to believe, right?
I can't believe it. It is amazing.
Where are we, your place? Yeah, I feel like we were just in the studio
talking about it.
Yeah.
That you were named the president. We had a great interview before you were going to be the president, named the next president, and then the first interview when you became the president. Boy, I'll tell you, they do say time flies, and it does. Something that I was very proud to see, and I'm sure you were very, very pleased about this. If I'm not mistaken, you graduated, more than 2,000 students, correct, this year?
Yeah, we graduated about 2,000 students this year. It's really amazing. It's wonderful.
And on top of that, obviously, the nation is having, much controversy with demonstrations and all these things that are going on. And you can't, free will, you can't control everything, but no problems with Stockton University like we are seeing around the country. I purposely didn't say anything in advance of graduation day because I didn't want to, cause any attention or jinx anything. But that was good to see, Joe.
Yeah, I'm really proud of our community and how we have addressed the issues. It certainly hasn't been easy. It hasn't been an easy time to be a college president, that's for sure. And during my first year as a new president in a new location, I think it makes it all the more challenging when the community doesn't know you at first. But I think this has brought our community together in ways that we hadn't anticipated. It certainly has been difficult, and we have had some mild protests throughout the year, but I think that they've been respectful and appropriate for a college campus and in line with our values, because we want students to be able to express themselves, we want students to be able to be heard, and we want to engage in civil discourse and debate. That's what we're about as an institution.
And Joe, in your case, it never, and those just joining us, it's Joe Bertolino, the president of Stockton University. That was just all free speech kind of stuff. It never affected the educational delivery system. It never affected the experience of other students. I mean, we have issues and instances, is what I meant to say, around the country where the very experience of being a student is being, fundamentally altered in a really negative way where people don't feel safe and, bad stuff. I mean, any of that comes, that comes with the territory, what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's important to remember that our responsibility is not only to educate students and to partner with our community, but we're also responsible for the health, well-being, and safety of everyone that is in our care.
Yeah.
And I take that responsibility very seriously. And in these times, that hasn't always been easy to do, but I have a great team, and we have been diligent in our work and in building relationships with students across both constituencies, if you will, or multiple constituencies, I should say. I think engaging in those conversations early on and keeping connected with folks, even if they don't agree with you, is important.
Yes.
It's very important.
Joe, I want to bring up one individual for just a standalone moment on our visit this morning because I was so proud of him. I've known his family for a lifetime. And I've known him since he was a child in Egg Harbor Township High School. And he's all grown up, and he's totally, amazing and successful. And I watched the speech. He delivered a phenomenally motivational type speech, and obviously a graduate of Stockton University himself. I'm speaking about a senior vice president, executive vice president of the parent company of the Philadelphia 76ers, Stockton alum Dave Schaller. I thought he did a fantastic job.
He was amazing. For him to tell his story about his start in being brought up in poverty, being brought up in a family that suffered from addiction and other forms of illness, and to be able to rise above that and reach the pinnacle of success. And really, I think sharing with our students the importance of persistence, passion, determination, and an understanding that opportunity exists, even though it can sometimes be very hard and very difficult. And more importantly, that there are members in our community who are there to help you, not just at Stockton, but beyond, to achieve your goals, to be successful. And that this is not, one does not get someplace on their own. It is always with the help and support and care and love of others. And I think he named several faculty members who he was connected to and others throughout his life that helped to foster his success and provide him with the support and the resources that he needed to move forward. But I think his message of resilience, particularly during these times, was key.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
I
agree. I loved everything you said. I agree with everything that you said. And there were times in his lifetime where his home address was the Atlantic City Rescue Mission. I mean, he is a living example that it's not how you start, it's how you finish, and that he just did not allow his circumstances in his youth stand in the way of his success in life. It is such a motivating example, and I take no credit for his success, but I will tell you something that I'm very proud of. When he was a teenager in high school, I knew that he was going to be a winner. We had him on a regular segment on this show many years ago when he was at Egg Harbor Township High School, and we named the hour Holler at Schaller. He named it. And it was great, and he was great. And then you know what? The next thing you know, he's a director of, this and that for the UFC. Then he's a VP of the Sixers. Then he's elevated there and elevated to the parent company. I mean, it is a wonderful success story.
I'll add that it was not lost on me that he was a first-generation college student. And you might recall during the ceremony, I asked our first-generation college graduates to stand, and more than half of the graduates in that room stood.
Wow.
I think that speaks to the power of education. I think it speaks to our mission as an institution. The fact that nearly 50% of the students who come to Stockton are first-generation college students and are proud of being first-generation college students.
If you didn't know that, like when you posed that question, Joe, and those just joining us, it's Joe Bertolino, the president of Stockton University on the Hurley in the Morning program. I'm shocked that it was 50%. Did that surprise you?
I think that when you know the numbers in your head, but when you see it visually, when I saw all of those students stand up, I could hear the gasp behind me on the platform.
Because they couldn't believe how many people stood or whatever, right?
They couldn't believe it.
If you said to me, Harry, how many out of 2,000 people, how many people do you think are first-generation graduates this year? I would have been going, reminds me of the old game show where you would have to guess lower or higher. I would have gone low. I would have thought maybe 20%, 25%. But that's a 50-50 proposition. There's something, I don't quite understand it, but there's something very meaningful about that. I don't know. It's one thing knowing the number. It's another, like, looking at the data. What does that mean even? We're going to take a brief time out. When we come back, much more. If you have any more on that, certainly, Joe, the time is yours. And then I want to ask you when we come back, obviously during COVID-19, the college experience dramatically affected. Everything was affected. Was this a year where it felt like normal again? You know, not the type of restrictions and not the necessity of remote learning and things like that. We'll talk about that and a whole lot more, including the Stockton University Foundation, which we are not only a big fan of, but a regular contributor of, and we'll be doing so again this summer and again this fall. We're going to make multiple contributions to the foundation because they do absolutely amazing work. And my thanks and appreciation for the opportunity to partner and do the Joan Finneran Nursing Scholarship and to do some of the other things that we're able to do, the G. Larry James Legacy Fund, and we stepped up at the creation of the Harvey and Lynn Kesselman Fund, and we're going to be working with Joe on one that he has established. So a lot of good things I want to talk about in the time we have with the president of Stockton University, Joe Bertolino, on the Hurley in the Morning program. Back in just a few minutes.
Hurley in the Morning.
It tends to make me feel a little bit more intelligent.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Starting your day the right way with Hurley in the Morning. WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app. You're waking up with Hurley in the Morning.
It's the topics that matter to me.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Joe, when we left for the break, I posed the question about transitioning from a COVID-19 educational delivery system to, then it was quasi back to normal and pretty much back to full normal. And of course, during COVID-19, social emotional stuff lost, all kinds of issues, the difference between being in the classroom versus, learning through remote learning and all of that. How has the transition gone, in your estimation, as president of Stockton University?
I think the transition has gone well, but I also think it's important to note that as a result of the pandemic, everything is different. Not just in higher education. I think that the world is different, and individuals perceive their lives differently, and what is important to them, perhaps priorities have shifted a bit. So when folks ask me, have things returned to normal? or to the way they were, my answer is both yes and no. I think yes, in that there is the freedom to move around and engage in robust community events, and our classes are filled, and there's life on campus again.
Yes,
and an interactive life on campus and in our communities in a healthy, exciting, robust way. And so that's wonderful. It's nice to look out a window or to go to an event and see a packed room. And so that's been terrific. I think the most significant changes that have occurred, as you indicated, I think first are the delivery of our curriculum and our classes. Most individuals prefer some type of hybrid model with maximum flexibility.
Yeah.
They may have preferred that before, but even more so now. And I think it's been greater investment by institutions like Stockton to provide more online, hybrid, synchronous and asynchronous classes. So I think that is something that will continue to grow. I think there is a more robust, or let me say that I think it's reaffirmed the importance of healthcare and health sciences and healthcare education in ways that we hadn't seen prior to the pandemic. But the three things that really stand out for me is that despite our coming back to a somewhat normal routine, students have struggled in their preparedness for college. The students continue to come to us having been severely impacted by their experiences before coming to the university. Some school districts were able to do very, very well. Other schools struggled a bit. And so I think it has presented a challenge in that we need to provide additional resources, additional services for our students to catch up. And the mental health issues, Harry, are really deep. I don't think we should underestimate the impact that all of this has had on the health and wellness and emotional health and wellness of not just our students, but all of the people that are in our community and work for us. I think those are longer-term effects, and we're going to need to be cognizant of those. We're going to need to, I think, keep our eye on the ball here as it relates to mental health. And we're going to need to continue to provide additional services and support for individuals related to mental health. I don't see that issue waning at all. In fact, I see it growing. And then finally, I'll say that unfortunately, for a lot of different reasons, trust has eroded in higher education. So even when you try to make the shift, I think that trying to reestablish trust in our institutions of higher education becomes important if we're to provide those resources, if we're to provide that education, and if we are to continue to be an economic driver and a personal driver for individuals. So
that was such a great narrative. If you're just joining our program, Joe Bertolino is our guest this hour, the president of Stockton University. This I've been waiting to ask you, and I'm really looking forward to your response to this. We had the pleasure to speak to one another on air when it was the idea that you were becoming the president of Stockton. The board had voted, you were the next president, so you knew you were coming. And for those who don't know, Joe is not a stranger to the area and not even a stranger to Stockton University. So from the beginning, I knew that, the board in its infinite wisdom, I mean, they just picked just a prince, an ace of a man to be the president of Stockton University. But now that you are the president, what can you say relative to your first year and your first educational year?
Well, it's been wonderful. As you know, this isn't my first rodeo.
I know.
I've been president at 2 other places, and I have to say the community has just been amazing. I mean, the first year is always challenging in that you spend most of your time getting the lay of the land. So first, returning to South Jersey, I think I underestimated the number of connections I actually had down here, dating back to when I was a high school teacher in Carneys Point. And to reconnect with all of those individuals and share this journey with them and share Stockton with them, I think has really been wonderful and has heightened the experience in a positive way for me. But the relationships that we have been able to build over the course of the academic year has been just phenomenal. The community has been warm and welcoming and receptive and excited. I think it's an exciting time. I will say that I feel grounded, and that is not an easy feat given that my predecessor, Harvey, had not only been the president for 8 years, but had been at the institution for 52 years. So he knows the entire landscape of the community. And so trying to play catch up in any way, shape, or form, I think during the first year is certainly, I wouldn't say it was challenging, but it was certainly a race. And not just a marathon. I think it was a race.
It's such an intellectually honest answer, and I expected no less. And when you mention Harvey, you think about it, you did take over from someone that was a member of the first graduating class. So he was a student when there really wasn't even it was Stockton State College or something. There wasn't even Stockton University. There wasn't all these different campuses and things. Certainly no, Atlantic City campus in a hotel, as makeshift as it gets. And then all through all those positions, all the way up to ultimately becoming the president. And I give you a lot of credit because I've heard it from a lot of people. Your assimilation into the role of president, I believe you did it as well as a human being can do it. So you have all my respect on that, Joe. Now, this is also a question I've been waiting to ask you because you knew all about the Atlantic City campus. I call them beachfront condominiums, not dorms. Is that the most unique type of setting? Because you do have, and you mentioned, but for those who don't know, you have so many years of experience at multiple universities as president, but I would have to think it's very rare to have something like the Atlantic City campus.
It is, and I think the word that comes to mind was the theme of my inauguration, and that is opportunity. There is so much opportunity in Atlantic City, and I do think that Stockton has seized on that opportunity with the building of the campus. It's an extraordinary complex. We've reached a point, and it is unique, to be able to say that you can come to South Jersey and you can be part of a university that is both rural and urban simultaneously. That you can have a vast array of experiences, whether it's gathering maple syrup in the Pine Barrens or being at our Coastal Resiliency Center on the boardwalk, on the beach, right on the Atlantic Ocean. That is not lost on me at all. But taking that a step further, I do think that given Atlantic City's history, and as we know, there have been wonderful opportunities and exciting things that have happened and challenges as well in the city, I think that Stockton has a responsibility to be a good neighbor in Atlantic City. And as a result of that, we need to be in service to the community. And having a campus there, particularly given some of our academic programs, I think provides that opportunity, so that my hope moving forward over the course of the next year is to really establish or ground, if you will, who we are in Atlantic City, defining that clearly in partnership with the city and with the state and with the surrounding communities. So I've assembled a group of individuals who are looking very carefully at what our Atlantic City campus should be, given the complex that we currently have. And again, how that can be of not just an educational experience and opportunity for our students, but providing opportunity and resources to the community. So I think it's amazing. It's an amazing opportunity. It's exciting. And it's beautiful.
I have a follow-up when we come back. We'll stay right on the clock. We're going to come back in just a few minutes. My follow-up is this. Is Atlantic City right now a college town, or is the goal for Atlantic City to be a college town? And I know you know how I mean that, because you already are. You're there, and the footprint is amazing. But you know how I mean that. We'll address that when we come back. Also, and it's not a point of disagreement with you at all, but I do believe it was a mistake. You didn't do it, so I hold you completely harmless. I do believe it was a mistake to give the Carnegie Library back to the city of Atlantic City. All Stockton needed to do was to continue to use it for an educational purpose, and that would have continued to be a Stockton asset. That was a huge mistake, in my opinion. I don't still know why it was done. And I also want to talk at some point during the 30 minutes, because we do have until 6 minutes past the top of the hour, if you can stay with me, Joe. And we have Joe Bertolino, the president of Stockton University. I believe Stockton should have a presence, and I don't know what it will take to get there, whether it's in Gardner's Basin, whether it's ultimately getting a very underused Atlantic City boathouse, because I believe the success of the Stockton rowing program and the fact that you have to go to Brigantine in order to have a program just doesn't compute with me. Something is awry there that I think can be put in balance. So at some point, I want to get to that and a whole lot more, including the Stockton University Foundation. Also, Joe, if you want to make a comment about the Stockton University Aging Festival that took place, I believe, yesterday, the time will be yours on that and a whole lot more. We have 30 minutes left with Joe Bertolino on the Hurley in the Morning program. We'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Biden, the international arsonist. The Communist Chinese want Biden reelected. Putin wants Biden reelected despite all the Democrat Party's best twisting and turning and pushing and pulling. The Islamo-Nazi regime in Iran never had it so good. They're getting billions and billions, rearm themselves. They've destroyed all opposition among the people in Iran who want nothing to do with that government. They love Joe Biden.
Mark Levin on South Jersey's talk station, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. You're waking up with Hurley in the Morning. WPG Talk Radio 95.5. You're waking up with Hurley in the Morning.
It's well-balanced conversation.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Thank you. It's 41 minutes past the hour with Joe Bertolino, the president of Stockton University. It is the Hurley in the Morning program. Joe, right before the break, I asked, and you know how I mean this, and I know our listeners do as well. It's something that I talk a lot about on this program because it was always just exciting for me to think about of all the things that Atlantic City has been famous for, and now becoming famous, for eds and meds and, utilities, companies and things, all kinds of diverse things. And of course, the casino industry and our hotel non-casino industry and all of that as a destination resort. Being able to say that Atlantic City is a college town. Now, I will say, when you drive over the Albany Avenue Bridge and you go around, turn around that World War II monument, you see that beautiful Stockton University sign. It sure gives me the vibe that Atlantic City is a college town. Does, in your estimation as president, because I'm just a guy with an opinion, you're the president, is Atlantic City a college town yet?
It's getting there. I think that obviously physically we have a presence. There's certainly the University District, the Fannie Lou Hamer Room, and campus is used by the community all the time. And I could tick off a number of events that occur in the community, sponsored by the university and others. Whether it's our community cleanup or the Arts and Culture Festival. So in many ways, I think we're on the way to becoming a more robust college town. But I also want to be honest that I think that there are some challenges that the city faces, and the university wants to be supportive and helpful in any way it can, but there needs to be. We have 900 students in our residence halls, or as you say, wonderful
beachfront condominiums.
Beachfront condominiums, yes. And so we have a lot of students there, and they love the space and they love the campus. But there needs to be, in my view, more investment in that part of the city. And because there aren't necessarily a lot of places for students to go beyond the casinos. We have found that there are some eateries and some coffee shops that are opening up in the area that students like to frequent, and that's been great. And so the more investment we can see there, I think would be wonderful. Investment in retail and infrastructure in that area, and the economic development of that area continues to be a priority. So if there are partnership opportunities, we certainly want to explore those. And I'll be perfectly candid that there's the perception of public safety. And while the campus itself, I think, is very safe, and we have very few, if any, incidents, there are some challenges in other parts of the city, and I think that perhaps may hold some students back from engaging in life in the city, if that makes any sense.
It makes perfect sense, and I agree with your answer completely, and it's why I asked the question, because I knew you would give an intellectually honest answer. All of that was very, very fair, Joe.
Yeah, I think that, again, it gets back to opportunity for me. I think we've done some great things. I think we're going to continue to do some great things. I think that Stockton needs to push itself out there and be a bit more assertive in with regard to our presence and our partnerships. And so it's not a sprint; it's a marathon. We're on a journey to make Atlantic City a college town, and that will take time. But if you had asked the question 5-6 years ago, when the campus wasn't standing, folks would have said, "Well, that's going to be impossible to do." And yet, look what we've achieved so far.
There you go.
And so I do think that we're moving in the right direction. And, call me in 5 years.
Yep.
And I'm pretty confident I'll be able to answer the question in even a more exciting way.
I just put a note in my tickler file. I will do that, sir. Joe Bertolino, president of Stockton University. This is not to be controversial. And when I preface it like that, that's not hidden to that it is controversial and me saying it's not. I'm a huge fan. I'll say it right up front. I'm a huge fan of the Carnegie Library. The building is iconic. It is historic. It dates back, as you know, Joe, to 1903. Andrew Carnegie donated the money to build 36 Carnegie libraries in the state of New Jersey, and we were lucky to get one of them. I think it's amazing construction. When you walk in, the marble, everything about it is first rate. And I will say Stockton University did a great job with the upkeep, both interior and exterior. Now, it could be as simple as, hey, Harry, we didn't need it anymore. We just didn't need it. So, and I'll retreat, but it was just my considered opinion that Stockton should have kept possession of that building, and all they needed to do so was to use it for an educational purpose. So do you miss not having that, or was the expense to upkeep it and staff it, was it just not worth it, not necessary?
Yeah, as I understand it, and as you know, we cut that loose a little bit before my arrival, but it certainly is a fabulous building, and I think that Stockton had used it well. But my understanding is that once the Atlantic City campus was built, there wasn't a need for the space. Now, one could debate whether folks should have partnered or thought about that differently. I don't know the answer to that. What I do know is, besides not needing the space, it was not an inexpensive venture to maintain, and making decisions on, you have X amount of dollars, and where are you going to put those dollars, especially when you've just built a new campus, what becomes the priority? And unless there's a particular partner, my guess is that it just became just economically it wasn't feasible to keep. That's my understanding of it anyway.
I think it's a fair answer. Easy for me to say that I would have just kept it anyhow, but that's a fair answer. When we come back, we'll then be uninterrupted until Brian Kilmeade. I want to address an issue that I hope one day, and I know hope is not a strategy, but I do hope one day that Stockton University has a boathouse, whether it's the Atlantic City Boathouse, whether it's a boathouse in Gardner's Basin. It just seems to me that as part of the Atlantic City campus, if you will, which a very appropriate decision was made. I know it was the Senator Bill Gormley doctrine, I call it, of going horizontal and not vertical, because obviously Stockton Showboat was disastrous. And thank God you got out alive there. I just think like going to Brigantine, hat in hand, just doesn't seem worthy of the institution, and especially the pedigree now of this national caliber program. So I want to get your take on that. Is that in the works? Is there anything that can be done relative to Stockton? And look, Brigantine Rowing Club, aces. Anybody wants to Google me, Stockton, and rowing, you will see my thanks, appreciation to them. They stepped up when on very short notice Stockton University got it right in the neck, almost cost the season. So this is all the props in the world to Brigantine, but I'm speaking about a Stockton University that would be self-sufficient in the sport of rowing when we come back.
You're waking up with Hurley in the morning.
I listen every morning.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5. WPGG Atlantic City. WENJ HD3 Millville. A Town Square media station.
The global elites are waging a war on our financial freedom. They want to control our future through digital currencies and a cashless society. By eliminating cash, they can track every transaction, impose negative interest rates, and even freeze accounts at will. But patriots are fighting back by investing in physical gold. Hi, Stephen K. Bannon here. I believe gold is the answer. It safeguards your wealth better than any other asset. And even better, with a gold IRA from Birch Gold Group, you can move your retirement savings into tangible real gold without paying taxes or penalties. Rolling over your existing IRA or 401k into physical gold could be the smartest financial move you ever make. To learn more, get your free info kit from Birch Gold by going to birchgold.com/protect. That's birchgold.com/protect. Take a stand for your financial future. Go to birchgold.com/protect right now to receive your free info kit on gold IRAs from Birch Gold Group.
Hurley in the morning.
If you really want to know what's happening in Atlantic City, it's Harry Hurley every single morning.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Wow, this has flown by, but we always say that, but it's not a cliche. It has really flown by, and I'm glad we get the extra 6 minutes until Brian Kilmeade. So we have 10 minutes left uninterrupted now with Joe Bertolino, who is the president of Stockton University. Right before the break, I posed the question about, does the future hold for Stockton University in Atlantic City a boathouse of some kind, or the ability to have your own rowing facilities? Joe, what are your thoughts about that? And again, nothing but respect for Brigantine, for stepping up and partnering, and they've been terrific in the past to Stockton and also in the present. Joe, your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I agree with you. I appreciate the fact that Brigantine Boathouse has really stepped up. They've been a great partner, and it was really unfortunate that we weren't able to stay in Atlantic City. But as you said earlier, our priority was to our students and to the program, and it's an exceptional high-end program, and we needed to do what we needed to do, and so I'm grateful to Brigantine for that. But if the opportunity presented itself, would we explore going back to the AC Boathouse? Of course. If that were to all work out, I'll take that a step further, though. I think that in my dream world, and if there's a donor out there, I would love to see Stockton actually, especially given that we have waterfront property and there are numerous opportunities throughout the city of Atlantic City. I would love to see us consider two things. One, building our own boathouse, state-of-the-art in Atlantic City for the university, to have other universities come and visit with us.
Love that.
Secondly, I would love to see us expand our coastal resiliency and marine studies program and have a facility in Atlantic City. I think those two things would be phenomenal. At the moment, they're not financially feasible, but they're not impossible.
No, that's an excellent goal to have, because it's not impossible, and it's something that I would think at some point, you could make it happen, and then that really, when you're self-sufficient and not a tenant, going to Brigantine and all that. I mean, that would be so great for your program. Everything from recruiting to just the workings of the sport of the program. It would just be fantastic if you could do that.
And I think it speaks to what we had talked about earlier. By creating that opportunity, you are building not just a partnership with the city, but you are creating a more robust college town.
Bingo. I could not agree more. I know I mentioned the graduation, and you talked about it, approximately 2,000 students. Give us a quick comment on the graduation commencement exercises. How did everything go?
I think it was fabulous. I had the opportunity to shake 2,000 hands.
Wow.
It was important to me that every student, look, you put in all of this effort after 4 or 5 years. Your moment is walking across that stage, getting to shake the hand of the president and the dean or the provost. It's that moment that both you and your family wait for and live for. And so I think it was a great day for our students and for their families. I often remind folks, particularly if they say, the ceremony might be too long, I keep reminding them that, this isn't about us. This is about our students.
There you go.
And it is their day. And but I also have to give a lot of credit to the team that helped pull it all together. We managed to from start to finish, and as you indicated, a great commencement speaker. I think We managed to get 2 ceremonies in over the course of a day, each being roughly a little over 2 hours. So I was really, really pleased. And you could feel the energy and the excitement in the room. We did a couple of new things, and I sang, believe it or not. So it was fun.
I love it. Joe, unsolicited compliment that I just feel I have to pay you. Many students around the country were robbed of their graduation because they had certain incidents that were happening. So credit to you, credit to your entire team. Leadership matters, and you kept it all together so that did not happen. Because you imagine, I mean, this particular graduating class got robbed with COVID-19. That affected everything from extra co-curricular activities and the daily educational delivery systems. Now you're talking about a graduation. You can't graduate. So kudos to you and your team, because that did not happen to the Stockton University class of 2024, and that's to your credit and your team's credit.
Thank you very much.
I really mean that. Let me, because we only have about 2.5 minutes, let me give you an opportunity to talk about the Stockton University Foundation. We'll talk about the Aging Festival and some of the other stuff another time, but I understand it all went great. The Stockton University Foundation, I know, is something that you believe so strongly in, and the amount of good that is a result is almost incalculable. As you know, we are regular, annual, usually more than annually, contributors because we believe in the mission so very much. Give us your best couple of minutes on the foundation.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for your ongoing support. I keep reminding folks that Stockton serves primarily students from working class families. We serve, as we talked about earlier, primarily first-generation students as well. Yeah. And so the dollars matter. For a student, even $100, $200 could mean the difference between being able to buy a book or attend a lab. Yep. That matters in the journey of our students. And so the foundation has done an exceptional job, I think, in trying to remove some of the barriers that could limit student success through, the housing scholarships, through academic scholarships, by addressing food insecurity, and so much more. The gala was just a few weeks back, and we managed to raise just about $400,000 toward our scholarships, and we're giving more than $1 million in scholarships annually through the foundation. So we're really thrilled about the work that we're doing there, and we're gonna keep forging ahead. I want to thank the generosity of so many folks out there who are really leaving a legacy. Bill and I created our own endowment in memory of my mother from the class of 77 for nursing students. And I know that you and others have done something similar. And those legacy gifts, and quite frankly, any support can change the life, just like it changed David Challer's life, right?
Yes. 30 seconds, Joe.
We saw what happened there, and we can provide that opportunity to many other students in the community.
Joe, it's been wide-ranging. I always enjoy the time that we spend together. Joe Bertolino,
thank you.
Really one of the great ones, president of Stockton University. Until we meet again, continued success. You've had a great first year, and I just see the wind at your back, and things are just looking so very, very vibrant and strong for Stockton University, and that makes all of us very proud and very happy. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it, Harry.
Good to be with you, sir. Brian Kilmeade takes over the airwaves right now. I'll see you on the digital platform of WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and right back